Chapter 1494. Shi Tianfang's forehead was filled with black lines. He had just guaranteed that the protective mountain array was under control and the purple heavenly lightning would not appear again. However, in the blink of an eye, the purple heavenly lightning struck Jin Xianzong again. At the same time, Shi Tianfang became suspicious. Why would the purple heavenly lightning appear out of nowhere? Shi Tianfang hurriedly checked the mountain shielding formation, but he found that no one was controlling it. The only explanation was that Jin Xianzong was a golden virtue holy body. He was restrained by thunder and triggered the purple void thunder. Everyone was dumbfounded. Oh my god, this is a fucking coincidence. Why can't I believe it? This Yi Liangqin is too strange. Could it be that he can really trigger the purple heavenly lightning? How is that possible? That is the protective mountain array of the Spacetime Academy. Didn't you hear what Dinshi said? Jin Xianzong's return of the sword and saber was broken and triggered the purple heavenly lightning's backlash. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Originally, everyone thought that Yi Liangqin was no match for Jin Xianzong. Yi Liangqin would definitely lose this battle. After all, the gap between the two was too big. However, they did not expect Yi Liangqin to be so strong. Jin Xianzong was extremely miserable. He was struck by the purple heavenly lightning continuously. It was too miserable. The purple heavenly lightning was a holy divine lightning. Its power was unparalleled. Although it was only a trace of the purple heavenly lightning's power, it was still extremely terrifying. Rumble. Jin Xianzong's body was surrounded by purple lightning. He was sent flying out of the sea of lightning. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood and his eyes were filled with anger. He looked extremely miserable. His hair was disheveled and the golden horn dragon armor on his body was tattered. There were many visible bloodstains on his body. The purple heavenly lightning spread into his body and was destroying the vitality in his body. Yi Liangqin, you are courting death. Jin Xianzong's eyes were about to spit fire. When had he ever suffered such a loss? It was driving him crazy. Yi Liangqin was only a late heavenly god. However, he had caused him to suffer such serious injuries. This made him hate Yi Liangqin to the extreme. He could not wait to kill Yi Liangqin. Jin Xianzong, you five elements wicked, you deserve to be struck by lightning. Yi Liangqin sneered. Like a bolt of lightning, he rushed towards Jin Xianzong with his palm. Rumble. Lightning gathered in the sky, causing the world to tremble violently. 5 blazing lightning bolts, containing the power of the 5 elements, intertwined with each other, containing the power to destroy everything, and slammed towards Jin Xianzong. Bastard! Jin Xianzong roared angrily. Golden runes floated out from his body, exuding an extremely terrifying power. In an instant, a golden divine light shot into the sky and pounced towards the lightning in the sky and Yi Liangqin. That golden divine light seemed to want to obliterate everything. Everything that stood in its way, whether it was a mountain or a towering ancient tree, was instantly turned into nothingness. Brat, you have some skills. Yi Liangqin's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. His 5 thunder heavenly spirit technique was broken by Jin Xianzong in an instant. Jin Xianzong roared and pounced at him, his eyes full of cold killing intent. Fine. Today, I will show you what real power is. Yi Liangqin's expression was indifferent, but there was a strange light flowing in his eyes. Rumble. The void around him trembled slightly, and a mysterious and terrifying power rose from Yi Liangqin's body. Mysterious runes spread out in all directions, as if it was a ferocious array that buried the ancient sages, and it was extremely ferocious. Streaks of chaotic fog spread out, and at the same time, it blocked everyone's vision. What is that? Tong Yuan and Han Li could not help but be shocked, revealing a trace of incomparable astonishment. Although they could not see what was happening to Yi Liangqin, they felt a wave of power that sent chills down their spines, as if it was more terrifying than the holy power. Crack! The chaotic fog spread out, and the golden divine light intertwined, as if there was the roar of a divine demon. It was extremely terrifying, and no one could see clearly what was happening. It's the power in Yu Yangchen's body. Is that a formation? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could feel that there was a supreme formation engraved in Yu Yangchen's body, as if it was a vast world, and it was extremely terrifying. However, Yu Yangchen seemed to be having difficulty controlling that power, so the violent aura spread out in all directions, and it even started to leak out of the arena. In the end, the formation of the arena let out a crisp sound, as if it could not withstand that kind of power, and it was about to shatter at any time. Oh no! Shi Tianfang and the other elders of the Spacetime Academy were shocked, and they quickly activated the divine power in their bodies to maintain the formation of the arena, preventing it from shattering. If the formation of the arena were to shatter, the Spacetime Academy would be humiliated. The deans and elders of the various academies looked extremely serious. They did not expect the battle between Yu Yangchen and Jin Xianzong to be so intense. Rumble. In the chaotic fog that filled the sky, a bright light exploded, and Jin Xianzong was sent flying. Half of his body was shattered, and his whole body was badly mutilated. He looked extremely miserable. Yu Yangchen stepped down from the sky, and he directly stepped on Jin Xianzong's chest. He kicked Jin Xianzong down from the void, and he directly smashed a mountain below him. Swoosh! Yu Yangchen went straight up and dragged Jin Xianzong out of the mountain. He grabbed Jin Xianzong's neck with one hand, and his eyes were extremely sharp. Jin Xianzong, do you admit defeat? Yu Yangchen's voice was very calm, but it made Jin Xianzong's body tremble, and a trace of incomparable fear appeared in his eyes. I admit defeat. Jin Xianzong gritted his teeth, and his eyes were filled with reluctance. However, he was unwilling to admit defeat, and there was no other way. The power that Yu Yangchen unleashed was too terrifying, and he actually felt a cold murderous intent. He had never felt so close to death before. Therefore, he could only admit defeat. The entire square was silent. Everyone's mouth was wide open, and they were dumbfounded. Jin Xianzong was defeated. Everyone felt as if they were in a dream, and they did not dare to believe everything that had happened in front of them. Who was Jin Xianzong? He was one of the 4 peerless geniuses, and he had the hope of becoming the champion of the Academy tournament. His strength was terrifying, but no one had expected that he would suffer such a miserable defeat after meeting Yu Yangchen. Chapter 1495. Although Shi Bufan, Yuan Fei, Duan Shuilu, and Jin Xianzong hadn't fought each other before, they knew that although there was a gap in strength between them, the gap wasn't that big. Perhaps some of them had hidden trump cards, but on the surface, they were all equally famous. Now that Yu Yangchen had defeated Jin Xianzong, it meant that he had the strength to defeat Shi Bufan, Yuan Fei, and Duan Shuilu. Don't worry, he's just borrowing external strength. That kind of strength can't be used easily, so he probably won't be able to use it again in a short period of time. Yuan Fei's silver eyes flickered with a strange light as if he could see through the strength in Yu Yangchen's body. He could feel that the terrifying strength in Yu Yangchen's body couldn't be used easily. As long as he couldn't use that kind of strength, Yu Yangchen wouldn't be a match for them. Yu Yangchen left the stage with an arrogant look on his face. However, Ling Xiao could feel that Yu Yangchen's blood and qi were a little weak, as if his vitality was greatly damaged. You shouldn't use the strength in your body so easily. You can't control it with your current realm. Ling Xiao glared at Yu Yangchen as he took out some sacred liquid and gave it to Yu Yangchen to heal his injuries. Hee, big brother, I'm just thinking for you. If I help you defeat Jin Xianzong, it'll be much easier for you to deal with him later. Tiangang, why don't you pick one of the remaining 3? Yu Yangchen chuckled and said indifferently. Leave Yuan Fei to me. Tiangang's eyes flashed with a cold light as he looked at Yuan Fei and said slowly. Yuan Fei seemed to have noticed Tiangang's gaze and glanced at him indifferently. His silver eyes flickered with a strange light. A seal set by a saint to hide the strength of his bloodline? Interesting. Yuan Fei muttered to himself. The following rounds of the Academy tournament became more and more intense. Apart from Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, Yi Yangchen, and Wang Lin, who were only in the Heavenly God realm, the others were all in the early Divine King realm. Each of these 20 people had to fight 19 rounds. If they could win 19 rounds in a row, they would naturally be the champion of this Academy tournament. Among them, Shi Bufan, Yuan Fei, Jin Xianzong, and Duan Shui Lu were the most dazzling. Their strength was unparalleled. Almost all of their opponents were defeated within a few moves, and then they simply admitted defeat. Other than the four great geniuses, Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, Yi Yangchen, and Xian Wang's performance were the most eye-catching. Ling Xiao and Tian Gang's physical bodies were unparalleled. Even divine kings couldn't take more than a few punches from them. Yi Yangchen's opponents were stronger than him, but they were always defeated. As for Xian Wang, he had comprehended the sword of Saint Tao. Qing Lian, Jin Gang, and Ji Yuanlong's strength were also not bad, but compared to the people above, they were somewhat overshadowed. This was especially true for Ji Yuanlong, whose physical body had been destroyed by Ling Xiao. Although he had regathered a new physical body, his strength had been greatly affected. He was still slightly weaker than Qing Lian and Jin Gang. As the battle became more and more intense, the rankings of everyone's strength gradually emerged. Tian Gang's battle prowess was unparalleled. Naturally, Ji Yuanlong was not his opponent. Even Qing Lian and Vajra were defeated by him. Next battle, Aries College's Tian Gang vs Heavenly Mantra College's Yuan Fei. Following the announcement of another battle, everyone couldn't help but feel excited. Is it finally time for the pinnacle battle? Aries College's Tian Gang is too fierce. He's not any weaker than Long Outyan. I wonder who will win between him and Yuan Fei. Is there a need to ask? It's definitely Yuan Fei. Although Tian Gang's strength is not bad, it's a pity that his cultivation is still a little lacking. That's right. If he had also broken through to the Divine King realm, he should be able to fight Yuan Fei. But now, it's unlikely. Everyone was discussing. Up until now, the 100 yuan grand competition had been an eye-opener for everyone. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement and anticipation. Brother Tian Gang, I feel that you have ill intentions towards me. Could it be that I've offended you before? Yuan Fei was dressed in a white robe. He looked handsome and extraordinary as he glanced at Tian Gang indifferently. You haven't offended me. I just don't like you and want to teach you a lesson. Tian Gang's eyes glinted as he spoke calmly. Zhou Daoji, Wang Lin, and the others from Aries College were shocked. In their impression, their eldest senior brother had always been humble and would rarely say such arrogant and infuriating words. However, only Ling Xiao knew that this was because of the blood feud between the Pangu clan and the Heavenly Curse sect. Naturally, Tian Gang didn't have a good impression of the Heavenly Curse Academy. Brother Tian Gang, I'm afraid that you'll be the one to lose in the end. Yuan Fei said indifferently. Cut the crap. Let's fight. Tian Gang's eyes glinted. Golden blood energy rose from his body. His meridians were like dragons, letting out a crisp dragon roar. Boom! As Tian Gang punched out, an explosive sound rang out in the void as a dark golden fist imprint flew towards Yuan Fei. Earth! Yuan Fei's eyes glinted as he spoke softly. Suddenly, a dark yellow rune appeared in front of him. It exuded an incomparably heavy aura and instantly turned into a huge mountain, crushing down on Tian Gang. Boom! The void shook violently. Tian Gang was like a peerless god of war. His fist was unparalleled, and it directly blew up the huge mountain. Gold! Yuan Fei's eyes were still very calm. A golden rune flew out from his palm. In an instant, millions of golden divine lights appeared in the sky and shot towards Astral Vault. Yuan Fei was still using the 5 elements heavenly curse. The Tao of curses was incomparably mysterious. It could communicate with the laws of heaven and earth through the power of the Tao. Boom! Heavenly Dipper's body was shrouded in primal chaos mist as a perfect aura erupted from him. A primal chaos boundary seemed to have formed around him, blocking off the millions and millions of divine light beams. The golden rays of light were all the purest chi of gunmetal. Fortunately, Tian Gang's cultivation of the mixed yuan chi had reached the perfect level. In the end, he was able to block it perfectly. Fire! Yuan Fei said indifferently. In an instant, flames soared into the sky. It was as if the sun had fallen from the 9 heavens. Countless mysterious flames flowed and burned everything. Yuan Fei stood in the sea of fire. He was like a god of fire, incomparably mysterious. As the flame runes in his palm flew towards Tian Gang, dozens of flame giants appeared in the sea of fire. Each of them exuded a terrifying power and charged towards Tian Gang. Boom! The blood energy around Tian Gang's body became more majestic. The sky shook violently. His fist was like a dragon, colliding with the flame giants. An earth-shattering aura erupted. It was extremely shocking. Chapter 1496. Water. As Yuan Fei's voice rang out, the ground instantly cracked open and sank deeply. A vast and boundless ocean appeared with a majestic aura. In the ocean, the waves hit the sky and dozens of water pillars shot towards Tian Gang. Moreover, as the flames in the sky collided with the seawater on the ground, an even more terrifying power instantly erupted. The power of water and fire destroyed everything, enveloping Tian Gang from all directions. Open for me. Heavenly Dipper's eyes flashed with incomparable sharpness. With a loud roar, his heart pounded violently like the beating of a heavenly drum. An incomparably blazing golden divine dragon appeared on his body, soaring through the void with unparalleled might. Rumble. The golden divine dragon was the power of the 5th level of the undying war body. Tian Gang's aura also skyrocketed. His body began to expand rapidly, turning into a 10,000 zhang tall giant. He was like a divine being from the ancient times. His aura was monstrous. With the golden divine dragon circling around his body, he threw out a punch. Instantly, the flames in the sky and the vast ocean exploded. Wood. Yuan Fei's expression was still calm, but his voice contained an incomparably mysterious power. Rumble. Towering ancient trees uprooted from the ground and began to grow rapidly. In an instant, they became 10,000 feet tall. Numerous green vines coiled around Tian Gang like pythons. Tian Gang's divine energy gushed out and pulled the green vines. However, the vines did not break. Instead, they were stretched even longer and coiled around Tian Gang's arm. Rumble. In an instant, the flames in the sky fell from the 9 heavens. The seawater on the ground surged up, wanting to drown the celestial constellation. The immemorial divine mountains were flowing with a mysterious yellow light, suppressing the celestial constellation, accompanied by countless golden divine lights, wanting to turn the celestial constellation into dust. 5 elements heavenly curse, suppress. 5 beams of divine light shot out from Yuan Fei's silver eyes in an instant, turning into 5 mysterious runes in his palm. He pushed them out in the air, suppressing Tian Gang. The sharpness of metal, the toughness of wood, the softness of water, the fierceness of fire, and the heaviness of earth, all of these had completely erupted at this moment. A vast 5-elemental world was formed around Tian Gang, wanting to completely suppress him within. Boom! 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 The strength of Tiangang's physical body was unleashed to the maximum, and he even executed the supreme innate technique of heaven and earth. He was like a golden giant, punching out like a dragon. Each of his punches was extremely terrifying. However, the 5 elements heavenly curse was complete and flawless, forming a mysterious 5 elements world that enveloped Tian Gang. Moreover, the 5 elements heavenly curse dissolved the power of each of his attacks. It even became the source of power that supported the 5 elements world, making it impossible for Tian Gang to escape. This is the true 5 elements heavenly curse. Unless Tian Gang's battle prowess and cultivation far surpasses Yuan Fei's, it's impossible for him to escape from the five elements' heavenly curse. Looks like Tian Gang will lose for sure. Shi Bufan said slowly as a trace of amazement appeared in his eyes. There was even a trace of fear in his heart. Even if he wanted to break the five elements' heavenly curse, it wouldn't be that easy. Yuan Fei has the legendary cursed body. I'm afraid his strongest strength isn't the five elements' heavenly curse, right? Duan Shuelio's eyes revealed a trace of solemnity as he said slowly. Shi Bufan's eyes flickered when he heard that. Although the five elements' heavenly curse was strong, it was impossible to fully unleash the power of the cursed body. Compared to Yuan Fei had more powerful means. This Yuan Fei is really strong. Yap Liangchen exclaimed in surprise. He should be hiding his true strength. Now, let's see if eldest senior brother can break the five elements' heavenly curse. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Boom! At this moment, the heavens and earth trembled violently. An incomparably mysterious light spurted out and instantly dyed the heavens and earth in pure gold. Celestial Dipper's entire body glowed brightly. It was as though an incomparably mysterious ancient god had appeared behind him, causing his aura to skyrocket. In an instant, he had reached the God-King realm. Moreover, his aura was still rising. Tian Gang's eyes also turned golden. He glanced at Yuan Fei indifferently and then slapped out with his palm. Crack! Under Big Dipper's palm strike, the mysterious five-element heavenly curse world actually exploded like a mirror. The blazing flames, the turbulent sea, the sharp divine light, the tough vines and the thick mountains all burst like bubbles. Yuan Fei's face changed. Without even thinking about it, he quickly retreated. At the same time, black and white inscriptions intertwined and rose from his palm, forming an extremely ancient and mysterious millstone in the air. It slowly rotated as if it could shatter the heavens. Great Destruction Curse, Great Millstone of the Heavens. Yuan Fei's Great Destruction Curse was naturally stronger than Guan Chen's. Moreover, the Great Millstone of the Heavens exuded an eternal and mysterious aura. Boom! Tian Gang's palm landed on the Great Millstone of the Heavens and a terrifying divine light storm surged out in all directions. With a crisp sound, the Great Millstone of the Heavens exploded and Yuan Fei was sent flying by Tiangang's palm. What? Guan Chen and the others' faces changed and their eyes were filled with shock. Tian Gang's palm was too terrifying. It had instantly increased his strength by 100 times. Not only did it destroy the five elements' heavenly curse with brute force, even the Great Destruction Curse was broken by Tian Gang. Tian Gang stood in the air and his entire body seemed to be cast in gold. He exuded an incomparably terrifying aura. His eyes were dazzling and his aura skyrocketed to the mid-divine king realm. He was one small realm higher than Yuan Fei. This is the heavenly god's secret skill. Sima Bo from the Heavenly Curse Academy's face changed instantly. Initially, he still had an expression of confidence and felt that Yuan Fei would win without a doubt. However, he didn't expect that the Heavenly Dipper's strength would actually increase explosively in an instant, directly breaking the five elements' heavenly curse and Great Destruction Curse. It's not the complete heavenly god's secret skill. Otherwise, it would be able to raise his cultivation to the great circle of the heavenly god realm. Shi Tianfang's eyes flashed as he said slowly. The deans and elders all had different expressions in their eyes. Some of them even revealed an obscure look of greed. Even if it was not the complete heavenly god's secret skill, it was still terrifying enough. If they could obtain it, even if they could raise their cultivation by 1 or 2 small realms, it would be enough to make them invincible in the same realm. This was one of the 108 secret skills of the ancient era. It contained the mysteries of heaven and earth. No one expected Tian Gang to have the heavenly god's secret skill. Chapter 1497. Senior brother's secret skill of God should be able to force out Yuan Fei's true strength, right? Ling Xiao stared at Yuan Fei as he thought to himself. I really didn't expect this. You actually had such an opportunity to obtain the secret skill of God. Since that's the case, you have the right to see my true strength. Yuan Fei said slowly. His silver eyes were blazing with passion. Although Yuan Fei was sent flying by Tian Gang's palm, there seemed to be a mysterious force protecting his body, preventing him from suffering any injuries. Boom! The void trembled violently as Yuan Fei stood in the air. A mysterious aura exuded from his body as his silver eyes burned brighter and brighter. It was as if he could see through all illusions and see through everything. Tian Gang also felt a chill run down his spine as if he was being stared at by some terrifying existence. Even his primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness was trembling slightly. Swoosh! A beam of silver light shot out of Yuan Fei's silver eyes and shot towards Big Dipper. Around Yuan Fei, there seemed to be ghostly wails and howls, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. A cold deathly stillness filled the air, causing the land within a radius of 10,000 miles to wither and die. Life had completely disappeared. Not good. Tian Gang's face changed drastically as he felt the threat of death. That ray of silver divine light was extremely terrifying. If he couldn't block it, he might be in danger of dying. Boom! 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 Golden blood rose around Tian Gang's body as endless divine light swept out in all directions. In an instant, he threw out hundreds of punches. Each of his punches was vast and unparalleled. It was as if the stars in the 9 heavens were falling from the sky as he tried to destroy that ray of silver divine light. However, that ray of silver divine light didn't seem to exist in the same space as Tian Gang. It wasn't affected at all and its speed was extremely fast. In an instant, it disappeared into Tian Gang's glabella. Boom! In Tian Gang's sea of consciousness, a blazing silver divine light exploded. It was like mercury as it enveloped his primordial spirit and began to extract the power of Tian Gang's primordial spirit. Admit defeat. A strange voice reverberated in Tian Gang's sea of consciousness as if it was luring him to admit defeat. Not good. This is the Silver Soul Eye technique? Tong Yuan's and Han Li's faces changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with shock and anger. The Heavenly Curse Academy's Silver Soul Eye technique was one of the most mysterious and difficult to cultivate incantation techniques. It was said that only those with a special physique and bloodline could cultivate it. Once the Silver Soul Eye technique was successfully cultivated, not only would it allow one to see through all things, it would also be able to draw upon the laws of heaven and earth, using the power of the curse to strengthen the opponent's Yuan spirit and extract the power of the opponent's Yuan spirit, causing the opponent to grow weaker while the user himself grew stronger. The Silver Soul Eye technique was very vicious. Even in the Heavenly Curse sect, only 1 in 10,000 geniuses could cultivate it. Who would have thought that Yuan Fei had successfully cultivated the Silver Soul Eye technique? Stop! We admit defeat. Tong Yuan's face was filled with anxiety as he hurriedly shouted. Dean Tong, it doesn't count if you admit defeat. Tian Gang himself hasn't admitted defeat yet. Sima Bo said with a smile, as if victory was already in his hands. That's right. Tong Yuan, are you trying to defy the rules of the Academy tournament? However, once the Silver Soul Eye technique is used, even if Tian Gang doesn't die, he will become a cripple in the future. Ha ha ha. Ji Jun's eyes were filled with hatred as he laughed heartily. His hatred had been vented. Dean, what should we do? Han Li's eyes were filled with worry. The Silver Soul Eye technique was too terrifying. If Tian Gang was really at the mid-stage Divine King realm, he might have been able to withstand it. Unfortunately, Tian Gang had only used the Heavenly God's secret technique to temporarily raise his strength. The power of his Yuan spirit wasn't as strong as Yuan Fei's, so it was natural for him to be hit instantly. Wait! Tong Yuan gritted his teeth as a glimmer of hope appeared in his eyes. He knew that Tiangang's strength was extraordinary, and he also hoped that Tian Gang could continue to create miracles. What a vicious Silver Soul Eye technique! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Yuan Fei really deserved to die. If the Silver Soul Eye technique had devoured more than half of Tiangong's Yuan spirit, even if Tiangang didn't die, he would be crippled. However, I'm afraid that you've kicked an iron plate. Ling Zhao's eyes were cold as he sneered in his heart. Tiangang wasn't an ordinary person. He possessed the bloodline of the Panga clan, a supreme sovereign clan. Even if it had declined, it wasn't something that Yuan Fei could bully. Rumble. Tiangang wasn't in a good condition at the moment. His whole body seemed to be shrouded in silver divine light. His limbs were stiff as he stood there, his face was filled with a struggling expression. Yuan Fei's face was abnormally flushed with excitement. Activating the Silver Soul Eye technique was extremely stressful for him. However, as he devoured Tiangong's majestic primordial spirit, he became extremely excited. When Tiangong's Yuan spirit was consumed to a certain extent, he could only let Yuan Fei do whatever he wanted. The mysterious curse power not only occupied Tiangong's sea of consciousness, but it also spread towards his body and started to devour his flesh and blood. It even wanted to devour his life essence. Tiangong's qi was weakening at a speed visible to the naked eye. What a terrifying Silver Soul Eye technique! Shi Bufan and Duan Shuelio's eyes flashed. Yuan Fei was indeed someone with the cursed body. He was able to successfully cultivate the Silver Soul Eye technique. He was already invincible in the same realm. It seemed that Tiangang was going to lose for sure. Everyone's eyes were filled with pity. After all, Tiangang had just unleashed his peerless divine power and was about to completely suppress and defeat Yuan Fei. They didn't expect Yuan Fei to use the Silver Soul Eye technique. Rumble. Tiangong's whole body was shrouded in a black murderous aura and he began to emit a dense death aura. I admit, the light in Tiangong's eyes dimmed as he spat out 2 words stiffly, as if he was about to admit defeat. Bang! 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 But all of a sudden, a violent tremor resounded through the sky. On Tiangong's chest, there seemed to be a small golden sun beating. Every beat was like the beating of a drum. It was terrifying to the extreme. That was Tiangong's heart. Golden blood spurted out from it and instantly gushed towards Tiangong's body. Tiangong's eyes instantly turned blood red and a trace of madness appeared on his face. No! I won't admit defeat. No one can make me admit defeat. No one. Tiangang roared. His voice was like thunder and shook the sky. Rumble. Endless golden light burst out from his glabella and a mysterious rune seemed to be imprinted on his glabella, causing his qi to become violent in an instant. The majestic Yuan spirit that was devoured by Yuan Fei suddenly rushed back into Tiangong's sea of consciousness, causing his qi to surge. As for the silver divine light, it exploded into a resplendent rain of light. Chapter 1498. What? Yuan Fei's expression changed drastically as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His Silver Soul Eye technique was broken and he suffered a huge backlash. His primordial spirit was severely injured. Boom! Tiangang threw out a punch and the roar of a dragon shook the heavens. An ancient and mysterious energy surrounded his body and mysterious runes flashed between his eyebrows. This punch was unstoppable as it came crashing down on Yuan Fei. This punch contained the physical strength of the peak of the celestial Dipper realm. Coupled with the support of the heavenly god's secret technique, this punch became extremely terrifying. Even the faces of the many deans and elders changed. This was because this punch had the strength to threaten them. I won't lose. I won't lose. Yuan Fei faced Tiangong's devastating punch. The silver light in his eyes grew brighter and brighter. There was even a trace of blood flowing down from his eyes. 5 elements heavenly curse. Great destruction curse. Silver Soul Eye technique. Explode. 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 Yuan Fei roared. Then, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of silver blood essence, which instantly turned into mysterious runes in the void. The power of the 5 elements flowed and the great millstone spun. There was also a silver light that seemed to confine everything. These runes seemed to contain the most original energy of heaven and earth. However, they exploded in front of Yuan Fei. Rumble. It was as if the sky had been shattered. A dazzling divine light exploded. Endless divine light gushed out and dyed the heaven and earth into a vast expanse of white. After a short moment of blindness, everyone saw that the vast array world on the stage was a mess. Countless mountains were turned into dust and the towering ancient trees disappeared. The terrifying divine light was like a storm that wreaked havoc in all directions. Who won? The same thought appeared in everyone's mind. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. This great battle was too intense, and everyone was addicted to it. However, they were most concerned about the outcome of the battle between Tiangang and Yuan Fei. Whoosh! Tiangang's figure flew out. He looked extremely pale and his aura was extremely weak. He crashed into the ground and left a huge human-shaped hole. Ha ha ha! Eldest senior brother won. I knew it. Who does that heavenly dipper think he is? To think that he can defeat eldest senior brother. On the side of the Heavenly Curse Academy, Guan Chen laughed loudly, his eyes filled with mockery and ridicule. However, before he could finish his sentence, it was as though someone had grabbed his throat. His eyes suddenly widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. I admit defeat. Above the void, Yuan Fei's figure appeared. However, his physical body had been completely shattered, leaving only a wisp of his Yuan spirit floating in the void. He looked extremely weak and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. However, he still bitterly admitted defeat. Although Tiangang had also suffered heavy injuries, Yuan Fei was in a worse state than Tiangang. Not only was his physical body completely destroyed, but his primordial spirit had also suffered heavy injuries. Both of them were enveloped by a dazzling light as they left the arena. This battle could be said to be a lose-lose situation, but Astral Vault still won. Damn it! Sima Bo's face was extremely ugly. It was as though he had eaten a dead child, and the veins on his face were popping out. Initially, he thought that victory was within his grasp. He thought that once Yuan Fei used his Silver Soul Pupil technique, he would definitely win. However, he did not expect Tiangang to use his full strength at the crucial moment. Not only did he break the Silver Soul Pupil technique, but he also defeated Yuan Fei. He could not accept such an outcome. Ha ha ha! Great! Tong Yuan and Han Li laughed heartily as their eyes were filled with excitement. This battle was too dangerous, especially when Tiangang used his Silver Soul Pupil technique. They almost went berserk, but fortunately, Tiangang was strong enough to turn the tables and defeat Yuan Fei. Eldest senior brother, are you alright? Zhou Daoji, Wang Lin, and the rest quickly helped Tiangang up, their eyes filled with worry. At this moment, Tiangang's face was very pale. He looked like he had suffered a great loss, and his aura was extremely weak. I'm fine. I just need to rest for a while. Tiangang smiled weakly, but his eyes were filled with relief. Eldest senior brother, that Yuan Fei is really vicious. If you did not break his Silver Soul Pupil technique, you would have been in danger. Hurry up and consume this 5-colored divine dragon fruit. It should be able to help you recover quickly. A cold light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. With a flash of light, a divine fruit that emitted a 5-colored glow appeared in his hand. It looked like a golden dragon, extremely mysterious. 5-colored divine dragon fruit. This is too precious. Junior brother Long, you should keep it for yourself. Tiangang's eyes widened, and he quickly shook his head. The 5-colored divine dragon fruit was a divine medicine. Tiangang naturally knew how precious it was. It could be said that this 5-colored divine dragon fruit was comparable to Zhou Tian's nirvana elixir. Eldest senior brother, don't be so courteous. The most important thing now is for you to recover as soon as possible. I still have some 5-colored divine dragon fruits. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Some. Tiangang was taken aback. He then exclaimed, all right. I didn't expect junior brother Long to be such a lucky person. I'll take it. After taking the 5-colored divine dragon fruit, Tiangang began to race against time to recover. His injuries were too severe, but the astral tournament couldn't be suspended because of his injuries. He had to heal as soon as possible and recover his cultivation in order to face the upcoming battles. Although eldest senior brother can't face the upcoming battles, he should have no problem getting into the top 10. Ling Xiao thought inwardly. He had already checked Tiangang's injuries. The Silver Soul Pupil technique was too overbearing, and it had damaged his life source and primordial spirit. Although he had the 5-colored divine dragon fruit, Tiangang wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. However, in the following battles, aside from Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu, no one else would be a match for Tiangang. Entering the top 10 shouldn't be a problem. Yuan Fei would definitely be in an even worse state. After all, even his physical body had been destroyed by Tiangang. He shouldn't be a match for Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu. Eldest senior brother must have used his Panga bloodline. I hope no one in the Heavenly Curse Academy recognizes him. Ling Xiao sighed inwardly. In order to resist the Silver Soul Pupil technique, Tiangang had used too much power. It would inevitably attract the attention of others. The following battles became even more intense. Among the 6 from Ares Academy, Wang Lin's cultivation was only at the Great Circle of the Heavenly God realm. Thus, she had more losses than wins. She shouldn't be able to enter the top 10. However, her attitude was very good. She only treated this as an opportunity to train and learn from each other. Yi Liangqin's strength was gradually recognized by everyone. Aside from the battles with Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu, he had won all the other battles. Even Yuan Fei had been defeated by him. Chapter 1499. Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Xiao, Shi Bufan, and Duan Shui Lu, their eyes filled with anticipation. This is unbelievable. I thought that Long Outyan wouldn't be able to become the champion, but now it seems like he's only 2 matches away from the championship. Someone exclaimed in surprise. Everyone recalled the bet that had been made between Ares Academy and Heavenly Curse Academy at the start of the tournament of the 100 Academies. At that time, everyone had thought that Long Outyan was just trying to please the crowd and had been waiting to see Ares Academy make a fool of themselves. But now, it seemed like Ares Academy was going to win. Yes, Long Outyan's strength is too terrifying. Until now, no one has been able to force him to use his full strength. His talent is too strong. I wonder if Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu can force him to use his full strength. It will be difficult for Long Outyan to win against Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu. Duan Shui Lu is rumored to have comprehended the Holy Path Blade Will, and Shi Bufan is even more unfathomable. He has even comprehended the power of time, which even saints find difficult to control. These 2 matches are going to be exciting. Everyone was discussing animatedly. At this moment, no one dared to underestimate Ling Xiao. Long Outyan is dreaming if he wants to win against Shi Bufan and Duan Shui Lu. He will lose without a doubt. Guan Chen's eyes were cold as he coldly snorted. His expression was very ugly. He felt that the surrounding people were looking at him strangely, which made him extremely angry. He couldn't accept that Ling Xiao was so strong. In the battle between him and Ling Xiao just now, Ling Xiao had only used 3 punches to force him to admit defeat. His cultivation level was higher than Ling Xiao's by an entire realm, which made him feel extremely ashamed. However, no one cared about him. In this tournament of the 100 Academies, Heavenly Curse Academy's face had been slapped hard enough, but Guan Chen was still so stubborn. Next match, Qingshan Academy's Duan Shui Lu vs Ares Academy's Long Outyan. As an aged voice rang out, everyone's spirits couldn't help but tremble. Was it finally going to start? Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Xiao and Duan Shui Lu. Duan Shui Lu was wearing a black robe and had a fierce temperament. His entire body exuded a sharp aura, and he was like an unsheathed divine sword that could cut through everything. His eyes were filled with undisguised fighting spirit. Brother Long, you're very strong. Duan Shuilu said slowly. Brother Duan, you are too kind. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. There was a strange light in his eyes. Duan Shuilu gave him the feeling of an unsheathed divine saber. It was unparalleled in its sharpness, but at the same time, it was flowing with an incomparably soft power. Brother Long, I'll use 3 slashes next. If you can take them, then you win. Duan Shuilu said slowly. The divine light in his eyes became more and more intense. Good. Please enlighten me, Brother Duan. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and his gaze became more serious. Ling Xiao was well aware of the reason why Duan Shuilu had made the 3 strikes agreement. Besides saving his energy for the upcoming battle, Duan Shuilu also wanted to force Ling Xiao to use all his strength to fight against Ling Xiao. He would fight to rise from the jaws of death. Although Duan Shuilu looked like a martial arts maniac, he was extremely decisive. After all, his 3 strikes were extremely fierce. Brother Long, be careful. This is the Bright Moon Saber skill that I created. Now I have only perfected 3 moves, but even I can't control its power. Duan Shuilu said seriously. The saber essence around him rose, and his temperament became more and more fierce. Bright Moon Saber skill. Good. Ling Xiao was a little surprised that Duan Shuilu had chosen such an ordinary name. However, when he mentioned the Bright Moon Blade technique, the look in Duan Shuilu's eyes made Ling Xiao's heart skip a beat. He was afraid that there was some unknown origin. Buzz! With a flash of light in Duan Shuilu's hand, a snow-white scimitar appeared. It looked like a crescent moon, clean and shining with cold light. It was just an ordinary divine artifact, but Ling Xiao could sense an unusual aura from it. Horizon cut. Duan Shuilu said lightly. He moved instantly. The world seemed to be still at this moment. The snow-white saber light bloomed in an instant, like a bright moon hanging high in the sky. The world was vast, and a mysterious aura was flowing. Ling Xiao felt that Duan Shuilu seemed to be separated from him by endless time and space, as far as the horizon. As the saber light lit up, the space between them collapsed rapidly and turned into nothingness. The saber seemed to have surpassed time and arrived in front of Ling Xiao in an instant. Good saber skill. Ling Xiao praised. At the moment when Duan Shuilu released his saber, he also made a move. Roar! The vast dragon roar resounded through the sky. Golden divine light gushed out from Ling Xiao's body, and the terrifying power made the surrounding void tremble violently. He put his palms together, and a blazing light burst out. The ethereal saber of Duan Shuilu was caught by him in an instant. Rumble! In an instant, the unparalleled saber essence broke out. The crescent moon fell, and the saber light cut on Ling Xiao's body. There was a sound of gold and iron hitting on each other, and sparks flew in all directions. In the end, the void suddenly shook, and Ling Xiao and Duan Shuilu both retreated with a loud bang. What a great sky-edge cut! It seems that Brother Duan is also a man with a story. Ling Xiao praised in his heart. The essence of the saber was too mysterious. If it were someone with a weak will, he would have fallen under the bright moon and been killed by the saber. Although the saber was not a holy saber, it already had its own holy saber essence. Ling Xiao felt Duan Shuilu's melancholy, regret, affection, and determination from the saber. Only then did he realize that Duan Shuilu was indeed a man with a story. Ling Xiao was able to take the saber. It seemed very easy, but in fact, Ling Xiao had broken out all the strength of his body. The saber cultivator was indeed terrifying. Clang! The saber essence around Duan Shuilu rose, and his temperament became more and more fierce and terrifying. His eyes were blazing with sharpness, and he was full of determination to press forward. Samsara cut. With another roar, the saber essence suddenly changed. Endless murderous intent filled the air, as if the shadow of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood had appeared, and countless ghosts and gods in hell were wailing. This saber contained a terrifying killing intent, and it was stained with blood-red light. It was going to reverse time and space, evolve reincarnation, and bury everything. The evil spirit of this saber was so terrifying that Shi Tianfang could not help but suddenly change his expression. What a terrifying samsara saber essence. Chapter 1500. Ling Xiao could only feel that the world had changed. It was as though he had arrived in the Azura hell. A blade light that could destroy the world descended from the 9 heavens, wanting to wipe out everything. This is the effect of the heart force. This person's heart force is so strong. Ling Xiao's heart trembled as he felt an extremely strong threat. Rumble. Divine power surged around Ling Xiao's body, and an ancient and majestic aura spread out. His 5 hearts were facing the sky, and streaks of lightning spread out around his body, splitting into 5 different colors. In an instant, he charged into the sky. Roar. Chirp. Roar. Hiss. Moo. 5 strange sounds could be heard as the shadows of the divine dragon, divine phoenix, white tiger, black tortoise, and qilin formed around Ling Xiao. Moreover, they were surrounded by endless lightning. Ling Xiao used the 5 elements heaven sealing style and the 5 thunder heavenly spirit technique at the same time, unleashing a shocking attack. Boom! Streaks of lightning exploded as the divine beasts roared in the sky. They collided with the blood-red blade light and an intense battle ensued. A sea of blood filled the sky as the heavens and earth shattered. The sun and the moon grieved together. A mysterious scene appeared as though it was the end of the world. However, streaks of lightning flashed across the void as though they wanted to purify everything. The 5 elements' divine lightning was endless as it continuously struck the blood-red blade light. Break it! 2 streaks of lightning seemed to shoot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. The golden light was blazing and instantly turned into a golden sun and moon. It directly exploded in the sky and completely shattered the blood-red blade light. Rumble. Ling Xiao's qi and blood surged as he was sent flying. His eyes revealed a trace of amazement. The power of this reincarnation slash was even stronger. It seemed as though it could bury countless lives and destroy the heavens and earth. It was incomparably terrifying. If this bright moon blade technique was really created by Duan Shuilu, then his talent was indeed incomparably strong. Is this really a blade technique that a divine king realm can use? It's too terrifying. A disciple of the divine king realm said in shock. His eyes were filled with fear. Even when he stood below the stage, he could sense how terrifying the strike was. He could even sense that just a single strand of light was enough to kill regular god kings. It was more than enough to demonstrate how much pressure Ling Xiao was under. Blade will of the Holy Way. Duan Shuilu is indeed a genius. Tong Yuan said slowly. Although Duan Shuilu is strong, Long Outyen is even stronger. Brother Tong, your Aries College has produced another genius. Lu Shuling's eyes flashed as she said faintly. Ha! Junior sister Lu, you're too kind. Long Outyen still needs to be sharpened. Tong Yuan smiled, but anyone could see the smugness on his face. Rumble. After Sky Edge Cut and Reincarnation Cut, Duan Shuelio's aura did not weaken at all. Instead, it became more and more intense. He stood in the air, black divine light circling around his body. His eyes were extremely bright, and his entire body exuded an extremely sharp saber light. The 3rd slash, Bright Moon Slash. As Duan Shuelu shouted, the 3rd strike broke out. Clang! The blazing sound of the saber resounded through the sky. A snow-white saber light shrouded the surroundings, as if the whole world had turned into a world of saber light. Sky Edge Cut and Reincarnation Cut seemed to have been prepared for this last strike, causing the aura of this strike to rise to the extreme in an instant. In front of Ling Xiao, there seemed to be a vast picture scroll. Above the vast sea, there were blue waves that stretched as far as the eye could see. A bright moon rose slowly, sprinkling down billions of silver moonlight. A woman in white stood under the moonlight, her clothes fluttering in the wind. Although it was only her back view, it was extremely beautiful. Anyone who saw this picture scroll would have a feeling that they could not bear to destroy it. What a powerful heart force. If Duan Shuailu could enter Buddhism, he would definitely become a Buddha. What a pity! Ling Xiao exclaimed. His eyes were extremely clear, and he looked at everything in front of him with appreciation. He did not sink into it. Ling Xiao's heart realm spread out, causing his entire body to exude an ethereal and transcendent aura. The last strike, Bright Moon Cut, was shapeless and intangible. It was a kind of pure conception, or heart force. It was a pity that Duan Shuailu did not have the great empty heart charm scripture, nor did he open his heart realm. Otherwise, when he used this strike, even an expert in the great divine king realm would sink into the heart realm and willingly be killed. Unfortunately, Duan Shuailu met Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao had the heart realm. Break! Ling Xiao said indifferently. He stretched out his hand and tapped lightly. The painting in front of him was like a bubble, instantly bursting apart. Duan Shuailu's bright moon cut also exploded into a dazzling rain of light. Puff! Duan Shuailu suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly became extremely weak. He looked at Ling Xiao in shock and said, You can actually break my bright moon cut? Ling Xiao did not simply block the attack. Instead, he broke the attack from the inside. Duan Shuailu had once used this bright moon cut to kill an expert in the late Divine King realm. That person did not have any resistance and was directly killed by the strike. However, Ling Xiao did not seem to be affected at all. He easily broke the bright moon cut. Brother Duan, this is the bright moon cut. It's also the heart cut, right? With your talent, it's really a pity. Ling Xiao said calmly. Everyone was baffled. The Sky Edge Slash and Reincarnation Slash were both overbearing and powerful, making everyone feel incomparably satisfied. However, the last strike was a little baffling. Everyone only saw a dazzling blade light enveloping Duan Shuailu and Ling Xiao. Then, Ling Xiao stretched out his hand and Duan Shuailu was sent flying while coughing out blood. It was simply a baffling loss. Even the deans and elders could not understand the power of this strike. That was the heart force. With their cultivation, they were not qualified to touch the heart force. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, Duan Shuailu could not help but tremble. His eyes revealed a trace of horror. Others could not understand what Ling Xiao said, but he understood. Ling Xiao actually knew the use of the heart force. Moreover, Ling Xiao's attainment in the heart force was much stronger than his. That was why he could defeat him so easily. Brother Long, I've lost. Duan Shuailu took a deep look at Ling Xiao and said. Although he had countless questions in his heart that he wanted to ask Ling Xiao, he also knew that it was not the right time. So, he admitted defeat without hesitation. The last strike made him accept his defeat wholeheartedly. Thank you for letting me win. Ling Xiao smiled and cupped his hands. Chapter 1501. Ling Xiao had won. The students from Ares Academy naturally cheered, their eyes filled with excitement. They were one step closer to the champion's position. As for the students from Heavenly Curse Academy, their expressions were ugly. They couldn't help but think of the bet between the two academies. If Long Outyan really did obtain the champion's position, they would have to shout, "I'm trash," in front of all the disciples. That would be worse than death. Most importantly, Heavenly Curse Academy would become a laughingstock from then on. After Duan Shuailu's battle with Ling Xiao, he seemed to have many things on his mind. Even during his battle with Shi Bufan, he seemed to be absent-minded. After a few rounds, he directly admitted defeat. Shi Bufan's expression was ugly. Although Duan Shuailu's attitude had allowed him to win, it still made him angry. The astral tournament had finally reached its end. Other than Ling Xiao and Shi Bufan, who had both maintained their victories and obtained first and second place respectively, the 3rd to 10th places were already clear. 3rd place, Duan Shuailu. 4th place, Tian Gang. 5th place, Yi Liangchen. 6th place, Xian Wang. 7th place, Yuan Fei. 8th place, Jin Xianzong. 9th place, Qing Lian. 10th place, Jin Gang. Ji Yuanlong was the most miserable. He was originally destined to obtain a place in the top 10, but he had never expected that he would only end up in 11th place. Although it was only a difference of 1 place, he had already lost a spot to enter the Void Saint realm. Ji Yuanlong's eyes were spitting fire as he glared at Ling Xiao with incomparable fury. He wanted nothing more than to tear Ling Xiao to shreds. It was because Ling Xiao had destroyed his physical body that his combat power had been greatly reduced, and he had not even been able to enter the top 10. Ji Guyuan and Ji Jun's expressions were also extremely ugly, and their gazes were extremely cold. This was all caused by Ares Academy. The other 7 academies had all had disciples enter the top 10, but Great Zhou Academy was the most miserable, as they did not even have a spot to enter the Void Saint realm. But at this moment, no one cared about their feelings. Everyone's eyes were on Ling Xiao and Shi Bufan. The final battle of the Astral Tournament, which was also the pinnacle battle, would be between Ling Xiao and Shi Bufan. The outcome of this battle would determine who the champion of the Academy tournament would be. Regardless of whether it was the first or the second place, there was basically no effect at this point as they could all enter the Faux Sacred World. However, the first place would always be remembered and worshipped by everyone, while the second place would only serve as a foil and be overshadowed. Furthermore, this battle was related to the bet between Ares College and Heavenly Curse College. Next battle, Ares College's Long Outyen vs Spacetime College's Shi Bufan. Shi Tianfang stood in the air and announced the participants for the final battle. At the same time, he also pushed the Astral Tournament to its peak. Eldest senior brother, junior brother Long, we should be able to win this battle, right? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with anticipation as she glanced at Tian Gang beside her. Junior brother Long will definitely win. Tian Gang said with a faint smile. There was no trace of hesitation in his voice. Of course. Among the so-called 4 peerless geniuses, 3 of them have already been defeated by my big brother. This Shi Bufan won't be any different. Yi Liangchen laughed proudly. Arrogant. Long Outyen wants to defeat Shi Bufan. What a fool's dream. Shi Bufan is unfathomable. Up until now, he has only used Imminent Skyline. If he uses his full strength, Long Outyen will definitely lose. Ji Yuanlong sneered, his eyes filled with disdain. He was the one who did not want Ling Xiao to win the most. It was because of Ling Xiao that he had lost his chance to enter the Faux Sacred World. Yi Liangchen glanced at him and sneered. Ji Yuanlong, are you itching for a beating? If you're not convinced, come over here and let me teach you how to behave. Ji Yuanlong's expression froze, and his eyes revealed a mixture of shame and anger. He was indeed unable to defeat Yi Liangchen, so he simply turned his head and ignored him. Ling Xiao and Shi Bufan had already stepped onto the stage. Shi Bufan's clothes were whiter than snow. He was handsome and elegant, and there was a faint smile on his face. It was easy for people to have a good impression of him. He glanced at Ling Xiao, and there was a strange look in his eyes. He said slowly, Brother Long, my offer is still valid. I hope you can seriously consider it. Ling Xiao also smiled indifferently. Brother Shi, my offer is still valid. As long as you take out that secret technique, I will immediately exchange it with you. Shi Bufan's expression turned cold. Since Brother Long is so insincere, then forget it. That's right. Instead of talking so much nonsense, why don't we have a good fight? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Golden blood circled around his body, and there was an incomparably bright light in his eyes. Boom! He threw out a punch, and the golden fist print was like an immemorial mountain. It rumbled and suppressed Shi Bufan. You're courting death. Shi Bufan's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. He slashed forward with his palm. At the same time, there was a strange fluctuation around him, and he took a step back. Buzz! The void trembled slightly. Shi Bufan's palm was as white as jade, and it directly slashed at Ling Xiao's fist. Then, with a gentle push, a strange light flashed, and Shi Bufan's figure disappeared in front of Ling Xiao. So close, yet worlds apart. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a divine light. There seemed to be an endless space between him and Shi Bufan. His terrifying fist imprint exploded in the air, but it didn't cause any harm to Shi Bufan. Boom! Ling Xiao's entire body shot out like a bolt of golden lightning. The surrounding void emitted strange ripples. He pointed at the void, and it directly pierced through the layers of void, and pointed at Shi Bufan's glabella. Although so close, yet worlds apart was very strong, it was ultimately just the use of spatial laws. Ling Xiao had cultivated a secret teleportation technique, so it was not a problem for him to break through so close, yet worlds apart. Shi Bufan's eyes flashed, and he was slightly surprised. He did not expect so close, yet worlds apart to be broken by Ling Xiao so easily. He slapped out with his palm, and the divine light was dazzling, enveloping the sky. It was as if there were thousands of palm shadows attacking Ling Xiao. Bang! The void suddenly shook, and it was as if thunder had exploded. It was dazzling. Ling Xiao's finger pierced through the layers of palm shadows, and directly shot at Shi Bufan's palm. Puff! A bloody wound burst out from Shi Bufan's palm, and he instantly retreated. What? Everyone could not help but be stunned. Shi Bufan was injured so quickly. Could it be that Shi Bufan was going to lose this battle? The faces of the people from the Spacetime Academy became very ugly. Chapter 1502. Boom! Shi Bufan's body shone brightly as a powerful life force burst forth. The wound on his palm healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Long Outyen, your strength is indeed not bad. You are qualified to witness my true strength. Shi Bufan's face was indifferent as a terrifying sword intent was emitted from his body. Clang! 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 The sound of a sword rang through the sky as a transparent ancient sword appeared in Shi Bufan's palm. It flowed with a mysterious light and looked ancient and sharp as though it could pierce through everything. Transmigration Sword. Shi Bufan's eyes shone brightly as he instantly stabbed his sword towards Ling Xiao. Boom! That was a resplendent river of sword qi, instantly enveloping the entire sky. Countless sword shadows intertwined, as though it was a scene of the birth and death of all living things. Countless fiend gods fell behind Shi Bufan, only he remained eternal and undying. This sword was extremely fast and contained the mysteries of time. Whoosh! Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he instantly used a teleportation technique to retreat. He stepped on the stars as a mysterious spatial fluctuation spread around him. In an instant, he was thousands of miles away. It was as though he had teleported. Even the primordial spirits of the crowd couldn't capture his figure. However, that sword light followed him like a shadow. Wherever it went, everything would be destroyed and the void would tremble. It was incomparably terrifying. Transmigration Sword. So this is Shi Bufan's true strength. Someone exclaimed as a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. What kind of sword technique is Transmigration Sword? Someone asked curiously. Transmigration Sword is a supreme sword technique that contains the mysteries of time. Legend has it that it can directly touch the great Tao of time. It can kill with a thought and is invincible. This time, Long Outyen is really in danger. An old god king expert said. He had lived for millions of years. Although he wasn't strong, he had seen many things. I heard that Ares College also has a great wilderness sword Tao. I wonder if it's better than Transmigration Sword. Someone asked. Great wilderness sword Tao. That's just a bandit from War God Temple who secretly learned the incomplete martial arts of our time Heavenly Gate. How can it be compared to Transmigration Sword? A disciple from the Spacetime Academy sneered. Everyone was debating fervently. At this moment, Ling Xiao seemed to have fallen into a disadvantageous position again. He could only use teleportation techniques to defend himself, causing everyone to begin to doubt the outcome of this battle. Long Outyen, do you only know how to dodge? Shi Bufan said coldly. The aura around his body became increasingly fierce. Wang! The sword hummed softly as streaks of sword light blossomed in the sky, turning the mountains and ancient trees in their way into dust. They followed Ling Zhao's figure and charged forward at an extremely fast speed. Rumble. Ling Zhao seemed to be surrounded by sword light from all directions, unable to dodge anymore. The sword light that filled the sky descended, instantly slashing Ling Zhao into nothingness. What? Long Outyen died just like that. Everyone couldn't help but tremble. They couldn't believe their eyes. Something's wrong. Shi Bufan's eyes flashed. Although he was incomparably confident in his transmigration mulberry field sword, it was impossible for Ling Zhao to lose just like that, so there must be something strange going on. Rumble. A blazing fist suddenly descended from the sky. It was like a dazzling divine sun, blooming with tens of thousands of golden rays. It was incomparably terrifying. Ling Zhao descended from the 9 heavens. His entire body was surrounded by dazzling golden light. His face was indifferent, like a supreme heavenly emperor who wanted to shake the mountains and rivers and sweep through the wilderness with his fist. Humph. Shi Bufan snorted coldly. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The ancient sword in his hand emitted a buzzing sound as it instantly pierced towards Ling Zhao. This sword was incomparably fierce. It actually arrived in front of Ling Zhao in an instant. Clang! However, only the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Shi Bufan's sword slashed onto Ling Zhao's fist. It was as if it had slashed onto a solid metal rock. It didn't even leave a trace on Ling Zhao's hand. The fist instantly exploded. Unparalleled rays of light swept across the sword light that filled the sky and sent Shi Bufan flying. Shi Bufan, do you really think that the transmigration mulberry field sword is invincible? Ling Zhao smiled indifferently. However, his eyes were filled with majestic and domineering light. His physical body was now invincible. He could go head-on against a godly king weapon. It was as if his body was indestructible. Although Shi Bufan's sword light was fierce, it couldn't break through his defense. It could be said that he was already in an invincible position. Long Outyen, your physical body is indeed strong. Even a godly king weapon can't break through it. However, this doesn't mean that no one can defeat you. Shi Bufan's eyes were slightly solemn as a mysterious aura spread out. Buzz! The void trembled slightly. A mysterious rune floated up from his palm and instantly merged with the ancient sword in his hand. The ancient sword emitted rays of light. There was actually an indestructible and mysterious fluctuation that spread out. Kill! Shi Bufan shouted coldly. He swept his sword across the sky. Mysterious runes flickered around his body, making him look like a peerless sword immortal. His aura was terrifying to the extreme. He can actually force Shi Bufan to use the brand of time. Long Outyen can be proud of himself. An elder from the Spacetime Academy said with a cold smile. That's right. Shi Bufan's brand of time is extremely powerful. It contains the power to slow down time. Long Outyen will definitely lose. Another elder from the Sikong Academy said indifferently. Shi Bufan had the brand of time. He was born with the ability to sense the power of time. He could be considered as an incomplete sacred body of time. His strength was extremely powerful. The power of time was not a saint path. However, it was far more powerful than an ordinary saint path. It was extremely terrifying. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He had also sensed the terrifying fluctuations contained within Shi Bufan's sword. Immediately, a stream of light flashed beneath his feet. His entire body moved tens of thousands of feet away, avoiding the sharpness of the sword. However, Shi Bufan followed him like a shadow and appeared in front of Ling Zhao in an instant. You can't avoid this sword. Shirbufan said coldly. At the same time, the sword light suddenly became extremely bright. Its speed suddenly increased. Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. He felt that the void around him seemed to have become extremely stagnant. It was as if he had fallen into a swamp. His movements became extremely slow. Time has slowed down. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Shirbufan could actually slow down time. Although he could not stop time, it was still extremely terrifying. If he could limit the speed and time of an enemy's attack in a battle without being affected, it would be extremely terrifying. When experts fought, they fought for the slightest chance. Buzz! The sword had already reached the center of Ling Zhao's eyebrows. The sharp sword chi even began to hurt his skin. It was as if it could directly penetrate his sea of consciousness and nail his primordial spirit in the next moment. Chapter 1503. Ling Zhao's face was still incomparably calm. His eyes were indifferent, as if there was no trace of fear. Freeze! He softly spat out a word. As if it had some kind of incomparably mysterious magic, a vast power erupted from Ling Zhao's body, instantly enveloping the surrounding area. The transparent ancient sword stopped directly between his eyebrows, not moving in the slightest. Shirbufan's entire body was suppressed by a vast force of heaven and earth, as if he had stopped there. This is the power to stop time. It turns out that the Sutra of Ages he obtained actually has the power to stop time. I must get it, I must get it. Monstrous waves surged in Shirbufan's heart as he roared crazily. Buzz! Ling Zhao clamped the ancient sword with 2 fingers. Like a demon god, the power of his body directly erupted, and then he punched Shirbufan's chest. Bang! The runes floating around Shirbufan intertwined with each other, forming a boundary that wanted to block Ling Zhao's punch. However, in the end, it could not withstand it at all and shattered like a mirror. Shirbufan's body suddenly shook violently. His chest instantly caved in, and all his ribs were broken. His face also became incomparably pale. However, his eyes were incomparably bright as he looked at Ling Zhao with a blazing gaze. Just now, Ling Zhao had stopped time. Although it was only for a moment, the power it caused was extremely terrifying. Shirbufan seemed to have no power to resist and was directly injured by Ling Zhao. Did I lose my lifespan again? It seems that the Sutra of Ages really can't be used easily. Ling Zhao's aura was also somewhat weak. Just now, when he used the Sutra of Ages to stop time, he actually burned 10,000 years of his lifespan in an instant, causing him to have a sense of emptiness. Although 10,000 years of lifespan was nothing compared to a supreme Tao expert who could easily live 1,000,000 years of lifespan, no one dared to consume and waste it like this. Only Ling Zhao would be so indifferent. Ling Zhao felt that every time he used the Sutra of Ages power to stop time, it would increase his perception of the power of time by a little bit. Lu Wu's scripture of time contains the power to accelerate time, mine contains the power to stop time, and Shirbufan's scripture of time contains the power to decelerate time. I wonder how many more scriptures of time are out there. There was a look of understanding in Ling Zhao's eyes. It turned out that although these time scriptures were only fragments, they contained different powers of time. Although Shirbufan seemed to have activated his time imprint just now, in fact, he had used the power of time deceleration contained in the time scripture. It was just that the people from the Space-Time Academy couldn't detect it. Since you want to know what kind of power my Sutra of Time contains, I'll tell you. Ling Zhao sneered in his heart as he looked indifferently at Shirbufan. He understood Shirbufan's intentions and also knew that Shirbufan did not dare to expose the secret of his menstrual cycle. Even if it was exposed, Ling Zhao was not afraid. Once he joined the War God Temple, even if the Space-Time Heavenly Gate knew that he had the legacy of time and menstruation, what could they do? Long Out Yen, you're really strong. Shirbufan took a deep breath as his eyes blazed. He even had the urge to take out the time compass just now, but in the end, he didn't. Everyone was not stupid. Although they couldn't see it now, if the time compass appeared, it would be easy for people with ulterior motives to discover it. Do you admit defeat? Ling Xiao smiled faintly as his eyes were filled with sharpness. Shi Bufan was seriously injured by his punch. Although his life source was strong and his injuries were rapidly recovering, Shi Bufan also knew that he was no match for Ling Xiao. If it was just an invincible physical body, Shi Bufan would not be afraid. However, Ling Xiao could use the power to stop time and was already in an invincible position. You win. Shi Bufan took a deep look at Ling Xiao before he turned and left the arena. Everyone was dumbfounded. What the hell? Are you guys kidding me? The battle is not over yet. Why did Shi Bufan admit defeat? Although Shi Bufan was injured by Ling Xiao's punch, Shi Bufan still had the strength to continue fighting. If they continued fighting, it was still unknown who would emerge victorious. How could he admit defeat just like that? The faces of the people from the Space-Time Academy darkened. Shi Bufan's direct admission of defeat made them feel a little ashamed. However, Shi Bufan's prestige in the Space-Time Academy was very high, so they did not dare to say anything. Ha ha ha. Junior brother Long finally won. Zhou Daoji, Wang Lin, and the others were extremely excited. Their eyes were filled with excitement. I knew it. The so-called 4 Sky Prides are nothing compared to me. Even I can defeat all of them, let alone my elder brother. Yi Liangchen laughed proudly and said arrogantly. The Heavenly Curse Academy should be fulfilling the bet now, right? Tian Gang sneered as he looked at the people from the Heavenly Curse Academy. At this moment, the people from the Heavenly Curse Academy were not the ones who felt the most uncomfortable. The top 10 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy looked like they had eaten a dead child. Their faces were extremely ugly. How is this possible? That trash Shi Bufan, how could he let Long Outyan win? Guan Chen's eyes were filled with disbelief as he roared. However, his words made the disciples from the Space-Time Academy unhappy. Guan Chen, who are you calling trash? We might not be able to defeat Long Outyan, but we are more than enough to defeat you. The disciples from the Space-Time Academy said unkindly. However, they did not do anything. Instead, they looked at Long Outyan with a gloating expression. The Heavenly Curse Academy had slapped themselves in the face this time. This slap was really fucking loud. Long Outyan became the champion of the 100 Yuan tournament and attracted everyone's attention. Some people admired him, some looked at him with disdain, and some were jealous. However, they had to admit that Long Outyan's brilliance overshadowed everything. The 2nd place to the 10th place were all dimmed. The champion. Ares Academy has finally won. Tong Yuan and Han Li looked at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. Not long ago, Ares Academy had become the laughingstock of others. There were many times when no one could enter the top 10. However, in this year's tournament of the 100 schools, 4 of the top 10 were from Ares Academy, and Long Outyan had even won the championship. Although they were confident in Ling Xiao, they did not dare to say that Ling Xiao would win the championship. After all, this was a grand event that attracted countless geniuses from the 10 heavens. There were too many Sky Prides. Chapter 1504. Bastard. Sima Bo took a deep breath. His face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with anger. He really wanted to slap himself. Why did he have to make such a bet with Ares College? Now, the entire Heavenly Curse Academy had become a laughing stock. However, they had all sworn the Great Heart Demon Oath, so it was impossible for them to go back on their words. Principal Tong, my Heavenly Curse Academy is willing to give you 1,000 drops of holy liquid as compensation. Can you waive our agreement? Sima Bo gritted his teeth and smiled at Tong Yuan. Although he was extremely sullen, he could only endure it and hope that Tong Yuan would be merciful. Principal Tong, you should be lenient whenever possible. If the Heavenly Curse Academy carries out the bet, it won't do you any good. Why don't you accept 1,000 drops of holy liquid? Zhuge Ming, the principal of the 5 Elements College, also persuaded. Before Tong Yuan could say anything, Han Li was enraged. He sneered, what do you mean by, be lenient whenever possible? Ask yourselves, if my Ares College lost the bet, would your Heavenly Curse Academy let us off so easily? 1,000 drops of holy liquid. Do you think we are beggars? Don't even think about it. Tong Yuan was also holding back his anger. At this moment, he said calmly, "That's right. Although my Ares College is not talented, we can still take out 1,000 drops of holy liquid. Principal Sima, you should carry out the bet." Sima Bo's face turned cold. He said angrily, "Principal Tong, does Ares College really want to be enemies with my Heavenly Curse Academy? Sima Bo, you were the one who proposed this bet. Now that you have lost, you want to go back on your words. So what if we are enemies? Ares College has never been afraid of anyone." Tong Yuan sneered. He was rarely domineering. Good. 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 Tong Yuan, I hope you don't regret this. Sima Bo was so angry that he laughed. His eyes revealed a trace of coldness. What is this? You have lost the bet and you are still trying to show off. You are really shameless. Yu Yangchen sneered. Everyone was watching the show. They were all staring at the people from the Heavenly Curse Academy. Ling Xiao had become the champion of the Academy tournament, and the Heavenly Curse Academy had completely lost. However, due to the restrictions of the Great Oath of the Heart Demon, although Sima Bo was furious, he didn't dare to let the disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy violate the oath. In the end, he had no choice but to fulfill the bet. I'm trash. I'm trash. I'm trash. The top 10 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy, led by Yuan Fei, roared in front of everyone. Their faces were twisted, and their eyes were filled with humiliation and cold killing intent. This kind of humiliation almost drove them crazy. It was even more unbearable than killing them. And all of this was brought about by Ling Xiao. Long Out Yen, you deserve to die. The eyes of Yuan Fei and the rest were filled with murderous rage. It was as though they were about to spit fire. They couldn't wait to go up and kill Ling Xiao. The sins of the heavens can be avoided, but the sins of one's own making cannot be avoided. Ling Xiao smiled coldly, completely ignoring the gazes of those from the Heavenly Curse Academy. I hereby announce that the champion of this year's tournament of the 100 Academies is Ares College's Long Out Yen. The top 10 of the tournament of the 100 Academies will all receive a slot to enter the Void Saint Realm. And the top 100 will all receive generous rewards. Shi Tianfang stood in the air and announced the results and rewards of this year's tournament of the 100 Academies. Everyone's emotions reached a climax, and their eyes were filled with excitement and fanaticism. The slots for the tournament of the 100 Academies were bestowed by the 6 immortal sacred grounds. The opportunity to enter the Void Saint Realm was extremely precious to the disciples of the 6 immortal sacred grounds, so it was easy to imagine how excited everyone was. Wang! 10 resplendent rays of light descended from the sky from Shi Tianfang's hand, landing in the hands of Ling Xiao, Shi Bufan, and the other top 10 disciples of the tournament of the 100 Academies, transforming into 10 tokens. However, there were still some differences. Ling Xiao's token was golden, while the others only had silver tokens. Furthermore, there was an ancient seal engraved on each token. Holy. This was the proof of entry into the Void Saint Realm, the Holy Token. The Void Saint Realm was extremely mysterious. It was a mysterious world created by the ancient sages. True sages could directly enter the Void Saint Realm, while those below the Sage Realm could only enter using the Holy Token. The golden Holy Token was supposed to be mine. Shi Bufan looked at the golden Holy Token in Ling Xiao's hand, and his eyes revealed a trace of jealousy and unwillingness. Naturally, he knew the difference between the gold and silver holy badges. The silver holy badge could only allow one to enter the ordinary regions of the Void Saint World, but the gold holy badge could allow one to enter the mystic realms and treasured lands of the Void Saint World. This was the greatest benefit of being the chief. With the golden holy token, one would be able to obtain greater benefits than others. As for the benefits and opportunities, one would have to find them on their own. After all, there were opportunities everywhere in the Void Saint Realm, and within the various sacred realms, there were imprints and inheritances left behind by the ancient sages. With the holy tokens in your hands, you can enter the Void Saint realm at any time. However, there are many senior sages in the Void Saint realm, and there are also some dangerous secret realms. You still have to be careful. Shi Tianfang then explained some of the things to take note of when entering the Void Saint realm. The Void Saint realm was incomparably mysterious, and even Shi Tianfang had not entered it before. Thus, he could only explain some of the things he knew. Only the primordial spirit would enter the Void Saint realm, and the physical body would not be able to enter the Void Saint realm. Although the death of the primordial spirit in the Void Saint realm would not necessarily lead to death, it would cause great damage to the primordial spirit, and the body would be severely injured. Thus, if one was accidentally killed by a senior sage in the Void Saint realm, it would be a huge joke. Following that, the deans of the 8 great academies distributed the rewards for the top 100 in the academy tournament. Other than the quota to enter the Void Saint realm, the top 10 would also be rewarded with 200 drops of sacred liquid. As for the 11th to 100th place, they would be rewarded with various divine weapons, divine pills, and martial arts. Some people's gazes changed and landed on Ling Xiao and the rest. More accurately, they were looking at the holy tokens, and wanted to obtain them. After all, the holy tokens would not recognize an owner. Anyone who obtained the holy token would be able to enter the Void Saint realm. This was a supreme secret realm that could lead one directly to the sage stage, and it was inevitable that others would be tempted. Even the deans and elders of the various great academies were somewhat tempted. Their gazes changed, and no one knew what they were thinking. This was especially so for Aries College. This time, Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, Yap Liangchen, and Xian Wang had obtained a total of 4 holy tokens, which attracted everyone's attention. Long Outyen, Tian Gang, Yap Liangchen, and Xian Wang enter the Void Saint realm from the Spacetime College. Some people have ulterior motives, and if you leave now, I'm afraid there will be some trouble. Chapter 1505. That's right. A single token can even attract the attention of a half-sage. To avoid unnecessary trouble, you will enter the Void Saint world from the Spatio-Temporal College. Han Li said slowly. All right. Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, Yap Liangchen, and Xian Wang looked at each other and nodded. The academy tournament had ended. However, it wasn't just Aries College. Other than the Great Zhou College, the other 7 colleges, including Qingshan College, were not in a hurry to leave the Spatio-Temporal College. Instead, they continued to stay and prepared to let their disciples enter the Void Saint world. After all, it would be too worrying to leave such a precious treasure on one's body without using it. Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, and Yap Liangchen agreed to go into seclusion for 3 days to digest their gains from the academy tournament before entering the Void Saint world together. After Yap Liangchen obtained 200 drops of sacred liquid, he was prepared to use this opportunity to break through to the great circle of the heavenly god realm. Ling Xiao could feel that Tian Gang and Xian Wang's auras were becoming more and more complete. It was as though they had become one with the heavens and earth and were getting closer to the godly king realm. After entering the Void Saint world, they would be able to break through to the godly king realm in one go. After Ling Xiao went into seclusion, he connected to his heart realm and entered the Great Void Temple. Uncle Su, do you know anything about the Void Saint world? Ling Xiao asked. The Void Saint world was extremely mysterious. Even the Scarlet Dragon War God's memories had very little information about it. Since Ling Xiao was going to enter the Void Saint world, he naturally wanted to understand it better. Void Saint world? Did you obtain a token? Uncle Su's eyes flashed. That's right. Ling Xiao nodded and took out the golden token. The golden token emitted a bright golden light. There were mysterious runes intertwined on it and there was a strange spiritual fluctuation. It seemed to lead to an unknown mysterious world. It's a golden token. Young master is quite lucky. Uncle Su was slightly surprised. He thought for a while and said, the Void Saint world's origin is very mysterious. It can be traced back to the ancient mythological era. Legend has it that the ancient sages created a spiritual world in order to create reincarnation. However, the Void Saint world's origin is very mysterious. It's not that simple. Many ancient emperors must have participated in it. That's why it can cover the 3,000 great worlds. The Void Saint world was a world of pure mental energy. Only the primordial spirit could enter it. The physical body could not enter. In the Void Saint world, one can comprehend the Holy Way imprints of the ancient saints, and even the great emperor imprints. It can allow one to step into the Holy Way faster. Following Uncle Su's explanation, Ling Xiao gradually understood the origin of the Void Sacred World. What Ling Xiao did not expect was that the Void Saint world actually covered the 3,000 major worlds. This meant that there should not only be sages from the divine world in the Void Saint world, but also sages from other worlds. The Void Saint world contained the marks of the divine path of the ancient saints and even the marks of the great emperors. It contained countless opportunities and was fatally attractive to those below the saint plane. Ling Xiao asked, Uncle Su, will breaking through in the illusionary saint world affect my actual cultivation? Su Bo nodded and said, although breaking through in the faux saint world is only a breakthrough in the primordial spirit body, once you return to reality, you will gain a lot of experience in breaking through. Young master, you have the golden saint badge, so you can go to those secret realms in the Void Saint world that are covered by energy barriers. There should be great rewards and opportunities there. Ling Xiao nodded and remembered Uncle Su's words in his heart. Ling Xiao entered the Flowing Time Temple and used the saint liquid to exchange for 90 days of cultivation. Ling Xiao benefited greatly from the Academy tournament and the battles between the geniuses. His great circle heavenly god cultivation had already reached the limit, and he was only a step away from breaking through to the divine king realm. Ling Xiao was prepared to use this time to digest what he had gained from the battle, especially the flowing time period. It had also deepened his understanding of the power of time. In the Flowing Time Temple, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the void. His body was surrounded by a golden divine light, and his aura was even more mysterious. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao's heart was beating like a drum. Every time it beat, it would emit golden qi and blood. Ha! It was like a small green gold dragon, ancient and majestic. It flowed through the meridians in Ling Xiao's body, making his physical strength stronger and stronger. At the same time, the great wilderness sword way, indestructible war body, flowing time scripture, 5 thunder heavenly spirit technique, lightning emperor technique, and various other powerful martial arts displayed various profound mysteries in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Although Ling Xiao could use the saint liquid to break through to the divine king realm, he did not do so. Instead, he allowed it to develop, and wanted to break through naturally. All kinds of martial arts appeared in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, and he began to master them. All kinds of profound mysteries were fusing together in a strange way, and a kind of chaotic light spread out. Just like that, Ling Xiao sank into a deep state of cultivation. 3 days later, Ling Xiao left the Great Void Temple. Tian Gang, Yi Liangchen, and King Xian had already come out of seclusion, and they were ready to enter the faux saint world together. In a secret room, Tong Yuan and Han Li had set up layers of formations to protect the 4 of them. When entering the Void Saint world, one could only enter in the form of a primordial spirit. If the primordial spirit left the physical body, they would not be able to resist at all. Tong Yuan looked at Ling Xiao and the other 3 and said slowly, Elder Han and I will protect you. After entering the Void Saint world, you must be careful. After all, the Void Saint world is extremely mysterious. There are countless opportunities and dangers. I hope that you will be able to find your own holy way in there. Tiangang nodded and said, Dean, don't worry. We will be careful. Yi Liangchen also smiled and said, Dean, don't worry. After all, we won't die in the Void Saint world. However, you still have to be careful of the other academies, especially the Heavenly Curse Academy and the Great Zhou Academy's Dean. If they come to seek revenge with hatred, you must protect our physical bodies. Han Li laughed coldly and said, Don't worry. If they dare to come, we will fight to the death. Prepare yourselves. We will begin to enter the Void Saint world. Tong Yuan smiled and his eyes were filled with anticipation. Boom! The 4 holy badges emitted a bright light and floated above Ling Xiao and the other 3's heads. Ling Xiao's golden holy badge, in particular, looked ancient and mysterious. The void trembled, and ripples spread out in all directions. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, 10,000 rays of bright divine light were released. Chapter 1506. Rumble. Ling Xiao could vaguely feel that above the vast sky, there seemed to be an incomparably ancient door opening. Endless bright light lingered around. His primordial spirit instantly turned into a stream of light and entered that door. Ling Xiao could see that a vast and ancient world had appeared in front of him. It stretched as far as the eye could see. Immemorial godly mountains stretched out endlessly, and towering ancient trees towered into the sky. It was as though he had arrived at the primordial era. Ling Xiao, Tian Gang, Yap Liangchen, and Lord Xian stepped out of the door and appeared on a vast and huge white jade plaza. Is this the Void Saint world? What a strange feeling. Tian Gang's eyes were filled with amazement. He clenched his fist slightly and a series of explosions sounded in the void. His body was filled with vitality and his physical body was extremely strong. It was extremely real. However, they had all descended into the Void Saint world with their primordial spirits. It should be the power of the Void Saint world that had formed a new physical body for them. It was no different from their original bodies. The only difference was that Ling Xiao and the other 3 had a mysterious rune between their eyebrows. It was the Saint badge. No one knew why it had appeared between their eyebrows. That's right. The space in the Void Saint world is extremely sturdy. It is not much weaker than the divine world. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that this ancient world contained the vast laws of heaven and earth. The space was also extremely sturdy. It was much stronger than some small worlds. Even the Void Realm could not compare to the Void Saint world. Ling Xiao's physical body was extremely strong. However, the wordless heavenly book had followed him into the Void Saint world and was hidden in his primordial spirit. The white jade plaza was extremely vast. There were many figures with powerful auras on it. They were all hurrying to and fro. Ling Xiao could see that they all had saint badges between their eyebrows. However, most of them were silver in color. Golden saint badges were extremely rare. Big brother, do you feel it? My silver saint badge can only stay in the Void Saint world for 30 days. Isn't this too much? Yap Liangchen was speechless as he stared at Ling Xiao. Mine is slightly longer. It can only last for 100 days. Ling Xiao said slowly after sensing for a moment. After all, the illusionary saint world was a spiritual world for saints to enter. Although experts below the saint stage could enter the illusionary saint world, they had to rely on the saint badge to do so. The holy badges were condensed from the origin of the Void Saint world. Although there were many of them, only the immortal Holy Lands had the ability to obtain them. It was very difficult for ordinary people to obtain them. The holy badge was a one-time use treasure. One holy badge could only allow one to enter the Void Sacred world once. Since time is so short, we can't waste any more time. Let's head to those secret realms to cultivate. Xian Wang said slowly. There's another newcomer. But these few fellows' cultivation bases aren't that high. There's actually a heavenly deity realm cultivation base. Someone noticed Ling Xiao's group of 4 and revealed a look of surprise. Ling Xiao could see that there were many people in the square. Each of them had a powerful aura. The weakest among them was a divine king. There were also some whose aura was as vast as the abyss and filled with the aura of the Holy Road. They were obviously half-saints. Comparatively speaking, the cultivation of Ling Xiao and the other 3 was rather unremarkable. Look, that heavenly god kid actually has a golden holy badge. Someone exclaimed in surprise. His gaze landed on Ling Xiao, and his eyes revealed a hint of passion. It's really a golden holy badge. A mere heavenly god actually has a golden holy badge. Could he be a disciple of one of the immortal holy lands or one of the big families? Someone whispered as they guessed the identity of Ling Xiao and the other three. However, Ling Xiao could still feel that there were many gazes with ill intentions on him from the crowd. This holy badge can't conceal its aura. This is troublesome. Ling Xiao frowned slightly as he felt that his golden holy badge would bring about quite a lot of trouble. However, the holy badge contained the origin mark of the Void Saint world. If he were to lose the holy badge, he would probably disappear from the Void Saint world immediately. Even if Ling Xiao wanted to retrieve it, it would be impossible. Junior brother Long, let's leave this place first. Tiangong's gaze turned cold as he said slowly. Just as Ling Xiao and the other three were about to leave the White Jade Square, an old voice suddenly sounded behind them. Young friend, please wait. I can see that your glabella is turning black and your primordial spirit is dissipating. There is a faint murderous aura between your eyebrows. There will definitely be a bloody disaster today. When Ling Xiao heard that, his face instantly turned black. They turned around and realized that the person who spoke was an old Taoist priest with white hair and a tattered Taoist robe. He held a white banner in his hand and there were a few big words engraved on it. Detect Heaven's Secrets, Reverse Yin and Yang. However, this old Taoist priest's eyes were lifeless and there was no light in his pupils. It was obvious that he was blind. There was an old monk on his back who looked extremely skinny. He had his palms together and his eyebrows lowered. He looked like an ascetic monk. However, there was nothing below his waist and both his legs were chopped off. He was a cripple. This pair looked extremely strange. An old Taoist priest and an old monk, a blind man and a cripple. However, they looked like experts. Yi Liangchen was immediately unhappy. He sneered and said, "Stupid Taoist priest, you are blind. How dare you say that you saw my brother's glabella turning black? If you don't get out of my way, I will beat you up." Ling Xiao was slightly puzzled. From the appearance of the blind man and the cripple, he could tell that they were also a blind man and a cripple in the realm of the gods. However, their cultivation was not weak and they were both in the realm of the gods. They also had a silver holy badge between their eyebrows. With the strength of a realm of the gods, it should be easy for them to heal their eyes and legs. Why were they still in such a state? The blind man was not angry. He continued to smile and said, "Have you seen my signboard? I can detect the secrets of the heavens and reverse yin and yang. I have never done anything casually. Today, we are fated to meet. That is why I am teaching you. I only want 10 saintly sources and I will show you a way to avoid a bloody disaster. How about that? 10 saintly sources. Why don't you go and rob a bank?" Yi Liangchen jumped up and said. His eyes were filled with anger. Saintly sources were a unique treasure in the Void Saint world. They contained the origin of the holy path. They were very useful in comprehending the holy path, increasing the strength of the primordial spirit and even cleansing one's state of mind. Chapter 1507. My friend, you're right. These two old men are robbing you. Don't believe their words. These two old men have been here for a long time, cheating and committing all kinds of crimes. When I first came in, they cheated me of 10 saint sources. A young man in a black robe reminded him kindly. What do you mean by cheated? Have you forgotten that it was your enemy who appeared to hunt you down that day? This penniless Taoist had pointed out a clear path for you, allowing you to avoid death. The blind man said with a smile. He did not realize that he had been exposed at all. Away. Blind man, the way you pointed out was the ancient ominous array. You trapped me for 30 days and I didn't get anything. In the end, I could only wait for time to pass and leave the Void Saint world helplessly. Because of you, I wasted a saint token. The young man in a black robe said with a wronged face. He looked at the blind man with anger in his eyes. Hee. That was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. The direction was just a little off. However, that wasn't an ominous array. It was an ancient ominous array. As long as you could break out of it, you would have a great opportunity. The blind man said with a guilty smile. My friends, this blind man is an old liar. Don't be fooled by him. I was fooled by him before. It was as if the appearance of Ling Xiao and the other three had triggered everyone's tragic past. Everyone started to denounce the blind man and the liar. They started to talk about how they had been cheated by the blind man. This blind man is really talented. He managed to deceive so many people. Ling Xiao was curious about the blind man and the liar. He did not know why, but he felt that these two old men were not as simple as they seemed. Big brother, let's go. Don't be fooled by them. Yi Liangchen said with a cautious look. Ling Xiao nodded. There were more and more people gathering here. He did not want to stay here any longer. After all, his golden saint token was too eye-catching. Ling Xiao had already discovered that the Divine King experts had silver holy badges. Even the majority of the semi-sage experts had silver holy badges. Only some of the strongest experts among the semi-sage experts had golden holy badges. One could imagine how precious golden holy badges were. Only the 6th-grade immortal holy lands could afford to take out the golden holy badges. Otherwise, ordinary people would not be able to obtain such a supreme treasure. Little friend, I'll give you a piece of advice for free. Remember not to go to the Enlightenment Sea. You can go to the Sage Steel, the Heavenly Thunder Platform, and the Flaming Mountain to take a look. They will definitely be able to resolve your bloody disaster. Blind chuckled as he shouted at Ling Xiao from behind. Bah! Yi Liangchen sneered. He did not even turn his head around. He treated blind man as an old liar. The 4 secret zones were the closest to the White Jade Square and were open to everyone. Everyone knew that the Sea of Enlightenment was the safest of the 4 secret zones. This old liar didn't even know how to lie. Big brother, where are we going now? Are we going to hunt demonic beasts and see if we can get some saint sources, or are we going straight to the 4 secret realms? Yap Liangchen asked Ling Xiao. Their silver holy badges could only allow them to enter the 4 secret zones. They couldn't enter the higher level secret zones. However, there were many demonic beasts in the Void Saint world. After killing those demonic beasts, there was a chance that the demonic beasts would drop saint sources. Many people would try their luck in the Void Saint world. If they could get enough saint sources, they would be able to enter the higher level secret zones. Everyone who came to the Void Saint world wanted to comprehend the Holy Path as soon as possible and understand the foundation of the Holy Path. They even hoped to get the inheritance of the ancient sages. Therefore, the higher the level of the secret zone, the higher the chance of comprehending the Holy Path. Ling Xiao was about to speak when his eyes suddenly lit up. He said faintly, "Someone is following us." Ling Xiao's senses were extremely sharp. It wasn't just because he had cultivated the incomplete secret skill of destiny. More importantly, he had the heart realm. In the void sacred world, his heart realm seemed to have become even more perceptive. Even the slightest movement within a radius of 10,000 miles seemed to have been imprinted in his heart and was extremely clear. Ling Xiao could sense that there were 5 powerful figures following behind the 4 of them. Although they had concealed their aura, Ling Xiao could still sense them easily. You're courting death. Tiangong's eyes turned cold and revealed a trace of cold killing intent. They naturally knew the intention of the people following them. They were after Ling Xiao's golden holy badge. Although many people saw that Ling Xiao had the golden holy badge, they couldn't be sure of Ling Xiao's identity. They thought that he had a powerful background and didn't want to offend him because of the golden holy badge. Therefore, most of them didn't dare to take action after weighing the pros and cons. However, the golden holy badge was still very attractive. Therefore, there were still people who took the risk. Let's wait there and give them a surprise. Ling Xiao's eyes landed on a towering mountain in the distance. He instantly turned into a ray of light and sped up. Tiangang, Yap Liangchen, and Lord Xian followed closely behind. The target is very vigilant. They must have discovered us. Let's follow them quickly. We must snatch their holy badges and saint sources. 5 black silhouettes appeared from the void and conversed with one another. Their eyes were filled with fervor as they chased after Ling Xiao and the other 3 in an instant. In the distance, there was a godly mountain that was tens of thousands of feet tall. Towering ancient trees stood tall and there were drifting clouds. It exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. The silhouettes of Ling Xiao and the other 3 entered the mountain and disappeared instantly. This is the place where their aura disappeared last. Damn it! Where did they go? The 5 figures appeared. They were 5 black-clothed young men with a cold expression. Each of them had a powerful aura. They were all experts in the Divine King realm. Their eyes were filled with coldness. They appeared in a valley. However, when they followed Ling Xiao and the other 3 into the valley, they realized that Ling Xiao and the other 3 had disappeared. Rumble. Suddenly, the valley trembled violently. Runes rose from all directions like vast thunderbolts, and began to explode violently. The light was blazing and the runes filled the air. Those were divine runes that intertwined and formed a chain reaction. Instantly, a terrifying energy fluctuation erupted. Oh no, we've been ambushed. The 5 black-clothed young men's faces changed. By the time they wanted to escape from the valley, it was already too late. The blazing light enveloped the 5 of them. Although the 5 of them had strong cultivations, divine power gushed out from their bodies, and various powerful defensive martial arts were used to block the terrifying shock wave, it was inevitable that they would suffer some injuries. Clang! A dazzling sword light soared across the sky. It was dazzling and there seemed to be a ferocious shadow of a black tortoise above it. It roared furiously and suppressed the 5 black-clothed young men. The power of the sword was extremely terrifying and it contained a vast holy road aura. It was as though it could split the heavens and earth into 2. This is a flawless holy treasure. Stop. We're willing to surrender. Chapter 1508. In the illusionary saint world, ordinary weapons could not be brought in. Only weapons with weapon spirits could transform with their owners in the illusionary saint world. Therefore, experts below the sage realm in the illusionary saint world usually did not have any weapons. They could only rely on their cultivation level and martial arts to fight. However, if they met someone with a weapon, they had to be careful. This was because weapons that could transform in the illusionary saint world were at least sage level or even flawless holy treasures. Flawless holy treasures could explode with great power in the illusionary saint world. Ordinary people would not dare to face them head-on. Previously, those people did not dare to target Ling Xiao because they were afraid that Ling Xiao had a powerful holy treasure. Now, the 5 of them knew that they had really kicked an iron plate this time. Therefore, they chose to surrender without hesitation. Otherwise, even if their cultivation level was much higher than Ling Xiao and the rest, they would not be able to block a flawless holy treasure. Ling Xiao's gaze was calm as if he did not hear the voices of the 5 black-clothed youths. The Xian Kun sword in his hand emitted millions of rays of light. It was extremely sharp and directly enveloped the 5 of them. Puff! 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 4 of the black-clothed youths did not have the slightest ability to resist and were directly slashed by the Xian Kun sword. They turned into bright rays of light and instantly disappeared from the illusionary saint world. The last black-clothed youth was purposely left behind by Ling Xiao. Therefore, Ling Xiao waved his arm and only chopped off his legs, sparing his life. Yi Liangchen's eyes lit up. He could be said to be agile. He directly picked up the holy badges left behind by the 4 black-clothed youths and set up a seal. Otherwise, the ownerless holy badges would automatically decompose and return to the origin of the illusionary saint world. Why did you follow us? Who ordered you to do so? Ling Xiao's expression was calm. He placed the Xian Kun sword on the neck of the black-clothed youth. As the sword light flickered, the black-clothed youth could not help but tremble. Young master, you must be joking. There is no one who ordered us to do so. We were possessed and saw that young master had a golden holy badge at the white jade square. That's why we followed you to snatch it. The black-clothed youth laughed bitterly, but his eyes were flickering. Ling Xiao sneered and said, still not telling the truth. They are just 4 late divine kings. How dare they attack us? I guess they know our background. That's why they dare to attack us. I advise you to confess obediently. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Even great perfection god kings and half-saints did not dare to touch Ling Xiao and the others because they were uncertain about their strength. However, the 5 of them were only late god kings, so Ling Xiao guessed that someone must have ordered them to do so. There's really no one behind this. Kill me if you can. The black-clothed youth steeled his heart and simply closed his eyes. Anyway, even if he was killed by Ling Xiao here, he wouldn't really die. He would just be weakened for a while. You really won't shed a tear until you see the Yellow River. However, I won't let you off so easily. How about this? How about I cripple your cultivation, chop off your limbs, and throw you into the crowd of demonic beasts and watch them bite you to death? That feeling will definitely be unforgettable for you. Ling Xiao said with a smile. The black-clothed youth's face suddenly changed. If Ling Xiao really did that, then he would be better off dead than alive. Brother, how can you let him be bitten to death by the demonic beasts? That's too easy for him. How about this? When he is about to be bitten to death, we will heal his injuries and throw him into another group of demonic beasts. We will repeat this dozens of times. Let's see if he still dares to be so stubborn. Yu Yangchen sneered and said. You are too despicable. A warrior prefers death to humiliation. You can just kill me. Why do you have to humiliate me like this? The black-clothed youth said angrily. His eyes were filled with panic. He was really afraid that Ling Xiao and Yu Yangchen would treat him like this. A warrior prefers death to humiliation. Bah! A scoundrel like you, who hides his head and shows his tail, dares to call himself a scholar. Kid, if you don't want to suffer, then tell me honestly. Yu Yangchen sneered. All right. I will tell you everything. However, you have to promise that you won't torture me. Just give me a quick death. The black-clothed youth was frightened by Ling Xiao and Yu Yangchen. Tell me. I promise to give you a quick death. Ling Xiao said calmly. It's Shi Bufan from the Spacetime College. He gave each of us a saint source and asked us to kill you. He said that everything we snatched would belong to us. The black-clothed youth gritted his teeth and said. What? It's Shi Bufan. He's really courting death. Tiangang was also enraged. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Ling Xiao's eyes were also filled with coldness. He had already guessed that it was Shi Bufan. However, he was still furious when he confirmed that it was Shi Bufan who had ordered them to do this. Shi Bufan had probably seen the threat Ling Xiao posed during the grand tournament of the 100 Yuan tournament, so he wanted to stop Ling Xiao from comprehending the Sage Dao in the Void Saint world. Only then could he think of a way to obtain Ling Xiao's Chronos and Chrono Compass. What a vicious person. However, Shi Bufan did not expect Ling Xiao to have such a perfect holy artifact like the Xian Kun sword. The 4 late divine kings were all killed by Ling Xiao as if they were vegetables. Big brother, it seems like Shi Bufan has entered the Void Saint world. Why don't we find a chance to capture this bastard, take his saint badge, and chase him out of the Void Saint world? Yap Liangchen rolled his eyes and sneered. Where is Shi Bufan? Ling Xiao looked at the black-clothed youth and asked. We don't know. It's impossible for Shi Bufan to tell us his whereabouts. However, it's very likely that he's in the Ocean of Enlightenment. The black-clothed youth made up his mind. Since he had already betrayed Shi Bufan, he might as well be ruthless. He even told Ling Xiao his guess. How did you know? Ling Xiao asked. Master, although Shi Bufan did not tell us his whereabouts, he's very close to Yuan Fei from the Heavenly Curse College. We've seen Yuan Fei in the Ocean of Enlightenment before. Therefore, we guessed that Shi Bufan might be there too. The black-clothed youth said. The Ocean of Enlightenment? Very good. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with coldness. Master, I've told you everything. Can you give me a quick death? The black-clothed youth said anxiously. He was really afraid that Ling Zhao would really cripple his cultivation and throw him into the demonic beasts in a fit of anger. He was almost traumatized. I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Zhao said indifferently. The Xian Kun sword flashed and killed the black-clothed youth instantly. Chapter 1509. Let's go to the Ocean of Enlightenment. A cold glint flashed across Ling Zhao's eyes as he spoke indifferently. Ocean of Enlightenment? Hey, big brother, do you remember that the old blind man said that we can't go to the Ocean of Enlightenment because there will be bloodshed? Is it a coincidence? Yi Liangchen suddenly thought of something and said with a strange expression. Tiangang was also stunned. He thought for a while and said, it should be a coincidence. The Ocean of Enlightenment is the safest secret realm and there are rarely any fights. However, if we fight with Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei, it should be considered a bloodshed, right? Yi Liangchen smiled and said, that's fine too. However, it will be a bloodshed that we bring upon them. Ling Zhao did not say anything. Instead, he flew in the direction of the Ocean of Enlightenment. The Ocean of the Way, the Holy Steel, the Heavenly Thunder Platform, and the Mountain of Flames actually had the inheritance and Holy Way imprints left behind by the ancient saints. However, most of them had been obtained over the years, and the Holy Way imprints had become increasingly thin. Therefore, one could enter and exit the 4 secret realms at will without paying any saint source. As long as one had enough comprehension, one could comprehend the path of the divine path. However, it took a long time to enter the 4 secret realms and many people liked to take shortcuts. Therefore, they returned to the more advanced secret realms. Although the Sea of Enlightenment was called a sea, it was actually just a vast and boundless lake. It covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. It was misty and extremely clear. There were no living creatures in the Ocean of Enlightenment. Instead, it contained countless laws and holy path imprints. Many experts could cultivate their primordial spirits in the Ocean of Enlightenment and comprehend the laws of heaven and earth to comprehend the path of the divine path. In the Ocean of Enlightenment, there were even some enlightenment fish formed by the origin of the divine path. Many experts could use their bodies as the rod, their primordial spirits as the line, and their comprehension as the hook to catch the enlightenment fish. If one could catch the enlightenment fish, it would greatly increase the speed of comprehending the divine path. Ling Zhao and the other 3 quickly arrived at the Ocean of Enlightenment. The Sea of Enlightenment was like a bright mirror, reflecting the vast sky. The sea was shrouded in mist and radiant light. It looked very mysterious. Countless figures sat cross-legged around the Sea of Enlightenment. Each of them was surrounded by a dense light. Their glabella glowed as if there were silk threads hanging down into the Sea of Enlightenment. They were all trying to fish out the enlightenment fish. Some people directly walked into the Sea of Enlightenment and used the water to cleanse their primordial spirits and comprehend the heaven and earth. However, those who dared to step into the Enlightenment Sea were all extremely powerful people. Ordinary people did not dare to enter the Enlightenment Sea directly. Otherwise, it would be easy for them to lose their minds due to the chaotic and majestic saint path imprints and sink into it, unable to free themselves. What a wonderful Enlightenment Sea! I feel that there seems to be a very familiar power fluctuation in the Enlightenment Sea. Xian Wang suddenly said slowly. A strange light flashed in his eyes. Oh! Junior sister Xian Wang, could it be that you've sensed some sort of sage Dao inheritance? Tiangang asked in surprise. To be able to comprehend the inheritance of the saint path in the Sea of Enlightenment was almost the greatest opportunity. I don't think so. It's just some kind of energy fluctuation. The Xian King shook his head. No matter what, since the 4 great secret lands are the most famous, there must be something extraordinary about it. Let's try cultivating in the Enlightenment Sea now. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. He was not in a hurry to find those high-level secret lands. Instead, he wanted to see what was so special about the 4 great secret lands. When he arrived at the Enlightenment Sea, Ling Xiao felt a strange fluctuation. It was as if the Enlightenment Sea contained 3,000 great daos, but it was extremely chaotic and he could not make any sense of it. This feeling reminded Ling Xiao of the Enlightenment Tree. The Enlightenment Sea, the Enlightenment Tree. Is there a connection between the two? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat as he thought to himself. Yi Liangchen looked around and said to Ling Xiao, "Big brother, aren't we looking for Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei? Those 2 bastards are most likely here." "Don't worry. There are too many people here and many of them have entered the Enlightenment Sea. We don't need to waste time looking for them. As long as they are in the Enlightenment Sea, we will definitely find their whereabouts." Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. He did not care at all. Junior brother Long is right. Let's cultivate in the Enlightenment Sea for a period of time. Tian Gang said eagerly. After entering the Void Saint world, although he had reformed his body, Tian Gang felt that he was about to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. It was only a matter of time before he reached the Divine King realm. Ling Xiao and the other 3 found a place beside the Enlightenment Sea and sat down. Boom! There seemed to be countless fragments of Dharma laws in the Sea of Enlightenment. When the power of the primordial spirit touched it, Ling Xiao felt as if he had come into a chaotic world. All kinds of vast and mysterious Dharma laws surged towards him. My path to the Holy Road will definitely be an unprecedented path of invincibility. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He had never had any doubts about his future path. The divine Tao comprehended the laws of heaven and earth while the Holy Road comprehended the origin of the Great Way. That was why one could speak of the heavenly laws and integrate with the Great Way. The divine Tao only borrowed the power of the laws of heaven and earth while the Holy Road was already a part of the Great Way of heaven and earth. Breaking through from the divine Tao to the Holy Road was the process of the laws of heaven and earth transforming towards the origin of the Great Way. That was why it was destined to be extremely difficult. For example, the cultivation of the divine Tao could be done by cultivating the laws of raging flames and the laws of icy flames. One could comprehend the burning and destruction of flames, as well as the vitality and nirvana of flames. When these laws of heaven and earth were cultivated to the extreme, one could deduce the divine Tao to the extreme. However, breaking through from the divine Tao to the Holy Road was like evolving from a branch to a towering ancient tree. The Tao of Fire was like a towering ancient tree with countless branches, which were also the magical laws of heaven and earth. There was the burning, the destruction, the life, the intensity of fire. In order to break through from the Tao of gods to the Tao of saints, one had to comprehend the magical laws of fire to the extreme. Only by comprehending the essence of the Tao of Fire would one be able to transform. The Enlightenment Sea contained countless laws of heaven and earth, yin and yang, earth, water, wind, fire, ice, wind, lightning, saber, sword, and staff were everywhere. However, they were also extremely chaotic. Therefore, many people sat cross-legged in the Enlightenment Sea to cultivate. They used the power of primordial spirit to perceive the thousands of laws of heaven and earth in the Enlightenment Sea. They even used the imprint of the Holy Road to find their own path to the Holy Road. This process was destined to be extremely difficult. One had to peel the silk from the cocoon and comprehend the power of heaven and earth that was most suitable for oneself from the chaotic and vast laws of heaven. Chapter 15:10. Ever since he had made the devouring heaven's secret skill his foundation, he had never thought of limiting it to any kind of law or origin of the great path. Ling Xiao had an ambition. He wanted to merge the 3,000 great paths into one, swallow the origin of the heavens, and use the 3,000 great paths to form his own divine path. Therefore, it was destined to be an invincible path. However, one could imagine that this path was destined to be extremely difficult. Since ancient times, countless peerless geniuses had thought of this path. However, all of them had failed. Regardless of whether it was the ancient sages or the invincible great emperors, they could only take a step back and choose a path. Rumble. Ling Zhao's primordial spirit was like an eternal sun, hanging high in the void. The vast power of laws in the Enlightenment Sea surged wildly into Ling Zhao's primordial spirit. Ling Zhao did not deliberately stop it at all. He had been comprehending the mysteries and origin of the various laws. The sharpness of metal, the vitality of wood, the flexibility of water, the heat of fire, the thickness of earth, the ferocity of thunder, the speed of wind, the seal of ice, the turbidity of sun and moon, the passage of time, the change of space, the vast laws of the world fused into Ling Zhao's body, causing him to exude a chaotic and misty aura. This speed of comprehension is still too slow. Why don't I try to catch an enlightenment fish? Ling Zhao's gaze shifted as he thought to himself. The enlightenment fish contained complete Great Path laws, which could be directly integrated into the primordial spirit. It was extremely precious. Many people could sit here for a few years and might not be able to catch an enlightenment fish. However, Ling Zhao was prepared to give it a try. Buzz! Ling Zhao's primordial spirit was dazzling, as if it was cast in gold. It was pure and flawless. At this moment, as he stretched out his primordial spirit, it instantly turned into a golden thread and fell into the enlightenment sea before him. The space between Ling Zhao's eyebrows shone brightly. The golden thread was like a fishing line, trembling slightly. It was crystal clear and went deep into the enlightenment sea. However, outside the golden light, there seemed to be a trace of chaotic aura. When the primordial spirit entered the chaos sea suddenly became a little different. It was like a ball of chaotic threads intertwined together, and also like countless interweaving runes. The light was blazing, and it was condensed together by a mysterious force, yet it was also like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Ling Zhao could see that there were dozens of ancient characters in the depths of the comprehension ocean. They contained mysterious and vast waves, and the aura of the saintly way was extremely rich and ancient. Are those divine path brands? Ling Zhao thought to himself as a glint flashed across his eyes. He could feel that what he was seeing now might be the essence and truth of the ocean of the path. The ocean of the path was an ancient secret realm formed by the imprints of ancient saints. It was only because of the existence of the saint path imprints that it attracted the endless power of the precepts and even formed a chaotic domain. The runes formed by the laws were actually in the shape of fish. They swam in the depths of the sea of enlightenment, lifelike and carefree. Many experts extended their primordial spirit threads in an attempt to fish out Tao comprehension fish, but the Tao comprehension fish simply ignored them. The precepts that I have comprehended are not pure enough, and my power is not strong enough. Naturally, I cannot attract the Tao comprehension fish. There was a look of understanding in Ling Zhao's eyes. I would like to see if my primordial spirit threads can catch all of you. Ling Zhao secretly activated all the power of his primordial spirit. In an instant, his primordial spirit shone brightly, and a mysterious aura spread out, as if there was a mysterious wave flashing in the ocean of the path. The Tao comprehension fish trembled slightly, as if they had felt some kind of wave, and began to gather towards Ling Zhao's primordial spirit threads. The Tao comprehension fish of white, green, black, red, and yellow, a total of 5 colors, represented the precepts of the 5 elements. They were the first to be attracted by Ling Zhao's primordial spirit threads. After all, Ling Zhao had obtained the secret skill of the ancestral dragon, the secret skill of the true phoenix, the secret skill of the white tiger, the secret skill of the black tortoise, and the secret skill of the qilin. His understanding of the precepts of the 5 elements was also the deepest, so it was easy for him to attract the Tao comprehension fish of the 5 elements. Whoosh! Ling Zhao's primordial spirit threads flashed and split into 5 threads. Each thread wrapped around a Tao comprehension fish, and then quickly flew out of the ocean of the path. A Tao comprehension fish is about to be caught. Who is so lucky? Someone noticed the commotion and exclaimed in surprise. In front of Ling Zhao, ripples appeared in the ocean of the path, and a 5-colored radiance surrounded it, instantly attracting everyone's attention. When everyone realized that Ling Zhao's cultivation was only in the great circle of the heavenly god realm, their eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. He is only in the great circle of the heavenly god realm, and yet he can catch a Tao comprehension fish. Looks like this kid's talent in understanding is very strong. Sigh, I haven't caught a Tao comprehension fish for 3 years. How pitiful. This kid seems to have just arrived, right? Comparisons are odious. Everyone was discussing animatedly. The appearance of the Tao comprehension fish had made them lose the mood to continue cultivating. All of them stared at the ocean of the path without blinking, hoping to see the Tao comprehension fish appear. Whoosh! A white Tao comprehension fish, which looked to be a foot long, was as white as jade, and was surrounded by a mysterious radiance. In an instant, it flew out of the ocean of the path and merged into Ling Xiao's glabella. It's a gold Tao comprehension fish, and it's a foot long. The ones I caught before were at most 3 inches long. This kid's luck is too good. No. There's more. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth. Oh my, this kid actually caught a 5 elements Tao comprehension fish? Someone exclaimed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Whoosh! 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 When the white path understanding fish rushed out of the water, another 4 path understanding fish, 1 green, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 yellow, rushed out. Every one of them was a foot long, and they all disappeared into the space between Ling Xiao's eyebrows. A 5-colored radiance shone from Ling Xiao's glabella. The Tao comprehension fish of the 5 elements Tao comprehension fish contained a vast amount of the 5 elements laws. In an instant, Ling Xiao's understanding of the 5 elements laws deepened. This Tao comprehension fish is really good stuff. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. These 5 Tao comprehension fish were actually more than what he had gained in a year. Immediately, Ling Xiao began to use his primordial spirit thread to catch Tao comprehension fish again. Whoosh! More and more Tao comprehension fish rushed out of the ocean of the path. Not only were there 5 elements Tao comprehension fish, there were also wind, lightning, ice, and even sword Tao comprehension fish. Ling Xiao did not reject any of them, and they all merged into his primordial spirit, swallowing and refining them. Everyone's eyes were wide open. Why are all these Tao comprehension fish crazy? This kid can't be cheating, right? The number of Tao comprehension fish he caught in this short period of time is more than what we have caught in a few years. How did he do it? If we know how he did it, we'll be rich. At first, everyone was shocked, but later on, their eyes began to reveal incomparable greed and fervor. A few figures walked towards Ling Xiao with unfriendly looks on their faces. Chapter 15:11. The enlightenment fish in the enlightenment sea were extremely difficult to obtain. Many people had stayed in the enlightenment sea for a few years and might not even be able to catch one. However, Ling Xiao's appearance had shattered everyone's expectations. In just a short while, Ling Xiao had already caught dozens of enlightenment fish. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Walking towards Ling Xiao were 4 burly men. Their faces were fierce-looking and their eyes were ferocious. Their bodies were exuding powerful blood qi like powerful demonic beasts. Just by standing there, they were enough to make people feel intimidated. The 4 of them were in the great divine king realm. They stared at Ling Xiao with undisguised passion. It's the tiger, leopard, wolf brothers. Looks like this kid is in trouble. Isn't that so? The tiger, leopard, wolf brothers are notorious for their ferocity. They love robbing and robbing. However, these 4 guys are very smart. They never offend anyone with a strong background. However, I'm afraid this kid has been targeted by them. Isn't that so? He's only in the heavenly god realm. Even I am jealous of him for being able to catch so many enlightenment fish. The people at the side discussed in low voices. When they saw the 4 burly men, their eyes revealed a trace of fear. Li Hu, Li Bao, Li Chai, and Li Lang were notorious in the Void Saint world. When they saw the 4 of them walking over, the surrounding people avoided them in fear. Little brother, can you tell me how you managed to catch so many enlightenment fish? Li Hu chuckled as he patted Ling Xiao's shoulder and asked affectionately. However, his face was full of muscles. Although he was smiling, he looked rather ferocious. Ling Xiao frowned slightly and stopped fishing. He looked at Li Hu and said, "This is talent. You can't learn it. Little brother, your talent is unparalleled. I really can't learn it. Why don't we discuss something?" Li Hu smiled and nodded. He was not angry at all. "I'm not free," Ling Xiao said flatly and rejected him directly. How could he not know the background of these four guys? They were obviously after his enlightenment fish and wanted something. "Little brother, don't be so distant. The more friends you have in the void's sacred world, the more options you have. If you offend someone you shouldn't offend, there won't be any benefits," Li Hu said with a smile. The three brothers, Li Bao, Li Chai and Li Lang, also surrounded Ling Xiao with unfriendly looks on their faces. "Are you just threatening me?" Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. His eyes were still as calm as ever. "Little brother, what are you talking about? How could we possibly threaten you? We just want to do business with you. Since you have a way to catch path-understanding fish, how about this? Let us sell the path-understanding fish you catch, and we'll split the profits. You have to know that many people here covet your path-understanding fish." Li Hu stared at Ling Xiao and said, looking as if he had Ling Xiao under control. "Share? That's not a bad idea. How should we split it?" Ling Xiao looked at the four of them with interest. They all had powerful demonic beast bloodlines, which made Ling Xiao curious. "How about a 9-to-1 split?" Li Hu asked with a simple and honest smile. 9 for me and 1 for you." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. "Little brother, you must be joking." "Of course not. It's 9 for us and 1 for you. After all, we have to help you sell the path-understanding fish and protect their safety. Otherwise, these path-understanding fish would be snatched away by others. We have to work harder, so it's only right for us to take 90%. Little brother, you don't have any objections, right?" Li Hu said with a smile. "Fuck your grandpa. How dare you guys come here to take advantage of us? I think you guys are tired of living." Yi Liangchen, who was standing at the side, could not hold it in any longer. He immediately started scolding Li Hu. These tigers, leopards, jackals and wolves really had big appetites. They actually wanted to take 90% of the path-understanding fish. Were they not afraid of being stuffed to death? "Oh, little brother, do you guys have any objections? However, if you guys don't give us face, we will go crazy. If anything happens, I won't be able to control it." Li Hu's eyes glowed as he gave a simple and honest smile. Suddenly, Li Bao, Li Chai and Li Lang released an extremely powerful aura. The aura of the great divine king realm burst out and suppressed Ling Xiao and the other three. All of them looked unfriendly and were ready to attack at any time. "Fellow Taoist, how could I possibly have any objections? However, one of my brothers has some objections. As long as you can convince him, I guarantee that I won't have any objections." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. "Oh. Which brother has an objection? Let's talk about it. Don't worry, I'm a reasonable person. I've always been reasonable and I won't resort to violence." Li Hu was stunned and his gaze fell on Tian Gang, Yi Liangchen, and King Xian. "It's not them. It's this brother who has some objections." Ling Xiao smiled embarrassedly. A light flashed in his hand and the dark Kuan sword emitted a faint light as it was placed on Li Hu's neck. The sword radiance was extremely sharp and it emitted an indestructible energy fluctuation. Li Hu's body stiffened and his face changed. "This is a flawless holy treasure. Little brother, you. What are you doing? If you have something to say, we can talk about it. Why are you using a weapon?" Li Hu stuttered as he spoke with an ugly expression on his face. He stood there and did not dare to move. The dark Kuan sword was placed on his neck. He could feel the terrifying holy aura contained in the dark Kuan sword that could threaten his life. If he made the slightest movement, Ling Xiao would probably slash him down without hesitation. He did not dare to treat his life as a joke. "Kid, let go of my big brother." Li Bao, Li Chai and Li Lang's expressions changed as they shouted at Ling Xiao. "Oh my God, it seems that you really can't judge a book by its cover. Although this little brother's cultivation is very low, he actually has a flawless holy treasure in his hands. It seems that his origin is very shocking." The four brothers, Tiger, Leopard, Wolf, and Wolf, have kicked an iron plate this time. Everyone was also stunned. They did not expect Ling Xiao to have a flawless holy treasure in his hands. This time, Li Hu immediately became obedient. "Don't act rashly. My health hasn't been good recently and my hands have been trembling. If I accidentally cut your neck, then don't blame me," Ling Xiao said with a smile. The dark Kuan sword trembled slightly and a sword radiance flashed. A bloody mark appeared on Li Hu's neck. Don't come over. Little brother, I admit defeat. Tell me, what do you want to let us go?" Chapter 15:12. Li Hu was extremely regretful. A flawless holy treasure was extremely precious as it contained a complete origin of the great path. Even a sage-to-be expert would rarely possess a flawless holy treasure. He would never have thought that Ling Xiao, a mere heavenly god, would actually possess such a treasure. What he regretted even more in his heart was, why did he have to act tough? He could have just taken advantage of the fact that this kid was unprepared to capture him. At that time, he might even be able to obtain a flawless holy treasure. It would be better than having his life in the hands of others. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, "I can let you go, but you have to promise me one thing." "What is it?" Li Hu quickly asked. "I think the four of you are quite capable. Swear the Great Heart Demon oath to submit to me and be my subordinates for a year. After a year, I'll let you go." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said faintly. "Submit to you? With your mere heavenly god cultivation, you want us to submit to you? Don't even think about it." Before Li Hu could speak, the tyrannical Li Bao suddenly jumped up and roared angrily. "That's right. The four of us will never submit to anyone. Give up." Li Zai and Li Lang also said angrily. Li Hu also made up his mind and said, "I admit defeat today. Kid, kill me if you have the ability. It's absolutely impossible for us to submit to you." Anyway, they would not really die if they died in the Void Saint world. At most, their bodies would be weak for a period of time in the divine world. It would just be a waste of an opportunity to enter the Void Saint world. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The corner of his mouth moved slightly as he transmitted a message to Li Hu. After Li Hu heard Ling Xiao's words, his entire body trembled. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. His expression kept changing, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "You didn't lie to me just now. I believe you should be able to tell whether I lied to you or not. I'm only giving you this one chance. It's up to you whether you can grasp it or not." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His expression was very calm. "All right, I agree." Li Hu finally gritted his teeth and said, "What? Big brother, are you really going to submit to this kid? Let's fight it out with him. At worst, we'll just die. Anyway, we won't really die." Li Chai, Li Bao, and Li Lang all turned pale with fright and hurriedly said. They didn't understand why Li Hu suddenly changed his mind and was willing to submit to this human brat. "Trust me, I won't harm you. Submitting to the young master might be a great fortune for us," Li Hu said seriously. Li Chai, Li Bao, and Li Lang looked at each other. Although there was a struggle on their faces, in the end, they believed Li Hu's words. They gritted their teeth and said, "All right. Since Big Brother is willing to submit to him, so are we." Following that, the four brothers swore the great oath of inner demons without hesitation, declaring their allegiance to Ling Xiao for a year. Everyone was dumbfounded. This scene changed too quickly, and the crowd couldn't react in time. The tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers were famous for their ferocity. Moreover, their temperaments were extremely wild and untamed. Even a half-saint expert couldn't subdue them. This heavenly deity realm kid actually made them serve him for a year. How did he do it? Just because of a flawless holy treasure? Everyone shook their heads. This was definitely impossible. Aren't the tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers too weak? They just submitted to this brat like that? What kind of magic potion did this brat feed them? Someone said unwillingly. Originally, they wanted to watch a good show, but they didn't expect it to end so hastily. I don't know. Maybe that brat has something on the four of them. Sigh, with the tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers submitting to him, it'll be even harder to get the path-understanding fish from this brat. Someone said with a wry smile. Everyone was a little disappointed, but they were also very curious. However, they were destined to not know the answer. Very good. It's your fortune to be able to submit to me. If I didn't need some people to do things for me in the Void Saint world, I wouldn't have accepted you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Since they had submitted to Ling Xiao, the tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers became extremely well-behaved. They all listened to Ling Xiao seriously. Please give us your orders, young master. The four of us are at your beck and call. Li Hu cupped his hands and bowed to Ling Xiao. Very good. Now, you have two tasks. First, I'll catch some path-understanding fish later. You can bring these path-understanding fish to trade. You should focus on saint sources. However, if there are some precious treasures, you can also use the path-understanding fish to trade. Second, check the entire path-understanding sea as soon as possible. I want to know if Shi Bufan from the Spacetime Academy and Yuan Fei from the Heavenly Curse Academy are in the path-understanding sea. Once you find out where they are, capture them immediately. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei. Yes. Li Hu and the other three looked at each other and secretly remembered this in their hearts. Next, Ling Xiao sat down again and used the primordial spirit golden thread to catch hundreds of path-understanding fish for Li Hu and the other three to trade. After Li Hu and the other three left, Tian Gang asked curiously, Junior Brother Long, how did you make them submit to you? You have to know that even if you kill them, they won't really die. It's not worth it to submit to you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, Eldest senior brother, submitting to me is their good fortune. Although the four of them are called tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf, they are all members of the tiger race and have the bloodline of the ancient white tiger sacred beast in their bodies. Coincidentally, I know some of the white tiger race's mystical abilities. As long as they submit to me, I'll impart it to them. White tiger race. So that's how it is. But the white tiger race should be in the demon realm, right? Although the Void Saint world covers thousands of worlds, this is the divine realm's region. How can there be demon race's existence? How strange. Tian Gang was a little puzzled. That's hard to say. Perhaps their original bodies are in the divine realm, or, they had some way to come here from the demon realm region. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. Perhaps. Tian Gang nodded and said. Ling Xiao then used the primordial spirit golden thread to catch some path-understanding fish. Tian Gang had the bloodline of the Pangu race and focused on refining his body. He walked the path of using strength to prove his Tao. Thus, Ling Xiao gave him some path-understanding fish of the Tao of strength. As for Yi Liangchen, he had the saint body of misfortune. Although he cultivated the martial arts of Ares College, those were not his foundation. Thus, Ling Xiao gave him the path-understanding fish of curses and runes. As for Xian Wang, he directly rejected Ling Xiao's path-understanding fish. I feel that something in the path-understanding sea seems to be calling for me. I'm going to take a look in the path-understanding sea. Xian Wang's eyes flashed with a strange light as he spoke slowly. All right, I'll go with you. Chapter 15:13. The Sea of Comprehension was resplendent and shrouded in mist, making it seem extremely mysterious. The seawater was not real seawater. Instead, it was formed from the laws of the world, so it gave off a very wondrous feeling. Ling Xiao and the Xian King entered the Sea of Enlightenment. It was as if they had experienced multiple worlds in an instant. There were blazing flames around them, roasting their bodies. Then, strange frost appeared. It was as if they had entered a world of ice and snow. Then, there were endless bolts of lightning and blazing gales. The chaotic power of the Dharma formed various mysterious worlds. The experts who entered the Enlightenment Sea had to be baptized by the chaotic Dharma at all times. If they were not careful, they might be trapped in it forever. If they were lucky, their Tao heart would be damaged, and if they were unlucky, they might die. Xian Wang's white robes fluttered as she was enveloped by a faint azure light. She seemed dignified and mysterious. She was peerless and graceful, like a supreme empress. Her bearing was extraordinary. The chaotic laws enveloped her and even began to enter her soul to baptize it. However, her eyes remained extremely clear and pure, as if she was not affected at all. Boom! The commotion caused by Ling Xiao was much bigger. Resplendent golden light revolved around him, making him seem like he had been cast in gold. A halo of light seemed to appear behind his head, like a golden sun. It radiated with a tremendous devouring force. No matter what the chaotic laws were, they were all absorbed and refined by him. Ling Xiao was like a bottomless pit, devouring the endless power of laws hungrily. Swoosh! Even the wordless heavenly scripture seemed to become excited. It shone brightly in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, taking away most of the power of laws that Ling Xiao had devoured. At the same time, it actively devoured the mysterious energy in the sea of comprehension, as if it was slowly recovering its strength. I can sense that the item should be at the bottom of the sea. It should be in that direction. Xian Wang's eyes flashed as she pointed ahead. Let's go. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. After arriving in the Sea of Comprehension, Xian Wang gave him a strange feeling. It was like some mysterious power was slowly awakening within Xian Wang's body. The surroundings shone resplendently as inscriptions revolved around them. They became more and more dazzling, making them difficult to understand. Rumble. In front of him, there seemed to be an explosion of chaotic light. Mysterious auras interweaved as runes flowed. A mysterious ancient world appeared faintly. Mountains rose and fell continuously within it. Towering ancient trees towered into the sky. There were also magnificent palaces, just like the heavenly palace. In that ancient world, there seemed to be an earth-shattering war. The human race, the devil race, the demon race, and all the other races were fighting fiercely. Their roars shook the sky, and the terrifying divine light seemed to tear everything into pieces. A mysterious figure stood in the air. His jade-white palm pierced through the sky. Instantly, a large number of experts were killed and turned into dust. That figure was surrounded by chaotic energy. His style was peerless, like a peerless celestial emperor, and his aura was terrifying to the extreme. It's there. The Xian King's eyes lit up, and he immediately flew towards the ancient world. Wait! That should be the scene of the ancient battle left behind by the sage imprints. Let's be careful. Ling Xiao stopped the Xian King. His eyes lit up and he carefully headed toward the ancient realm. Rumble. In the end, that ancient world actually shattered with a loud bang. Countless experts fell. Heaven and earth howled in grief, and the sun and moon lost their light. However, that peerless figure was still fighting fiercely. He slaughtered his way to the peak, fighting against countless terrifying figures in the sky. In the end, the chaotic energy exploded. Endless chaotic energy filled the air. Everything returned to nothingness, and all the figures were annihilated. Ling Xiao and the Xian King also appeared in a mysterious area. Ancient runes floated around them. Each rune was as bright as a divine sun, and contained incomparably mysterious fluctuations. The rune in the center flowed with a green light. It seemed to reflect the Xian King's figure, and it instantly bloomed with light. Buzz! The runes soared through the sky and floated above the Xian King's head. Her aura changed greatly in an instant, becoming ancient and ethereal. It was as if she had fused with the peerless figure in the ancient world. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could feel that the light in the Xian King's body was resplendent. Mysterious energy flowed, and her aura began to surge. Rumble. She broke through to the God King realm in an instant, and she continued to break through. Her eyes became extremely unfamiliar, and her face became dignified and indifferent. Is the Xian King the reincarnation of a supreme expert from the ancient times? Otherwise, how do you explain the power in her body? Ling Zhao's eyes flickered as he thought to himself. At this moment, the mysterious runes in the surroundings began to tremble slightly. They contained a vast presence of the saintly way. Mysterious figures seemed to awaken from the runes, and they bowed towards the Xian King respectfully. Swoosh! 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 Like rivers flowing into the sea, the runes began to surge into the Xian King's body, causing her aura to become even more powerful. Buzz! The wordless heavenly book was unhappy. It buzzed and trembled, and it immediately flew out from between Ling Zhao's brows. It shone brightly in an instant, and mysterious chains of order shot through the air. They wrapped around the runes, and then they began to absorb the power within them. How dare you! A cold and dignified voice rang out from the Xian King's mouth. Her eyes snapped open, and 2 streaks of chaotic light shot out. They were ancient and mysterious. The sound waves seemed to contain an irresistible force, directly causing Ling Zhao's body to tremble. As if she had been struck by lightning, she suddenly vomited blood, and her aura immediately withered. The 2 streaks of chaotic light revolved above Ling Zhao's head. They possessed terrifying killing intent, as if they could fall and kill Ling Zhao at any moment. The power was far too terrifying. Ling Zhao was unable to resist it at all. This is Saintly Way Force? No, it might be even more powerful than Saintly Way Force. Ling Zhao's face was pale, but her eyes shone brighter and brighter. Boom! The wordless heavenly book was unhappy. It unfurled in a single moment, and a page of scripture appeared, directly devouring the 2 streaks of chaotic light. Half of the resplendent runes in the surroundings were forcefully taken away by the wordless heavenly book. In the end, only half of it fused into the Xian King's body. It's actually the wordless heavenly book, the savior. But you're still too weak. Sigh. Chapter 15-14. The boundless light merged into Xian Wang's body, and all the runes disappeared. The terrifying aura on Xian Wang's body began to dissipate, and finally, it disappeared completely. When she opened her eyes again, they were filled with confusion. What happened to me just now? Xian Wang looked at Ling Zhao in confusion. I don't know either. However, your aura was similar to that of the figure in the ancient world. I'm afraid there's some connection between the two of you. Ling Zhao looked at Xian Wang deeply. That figure in the ancient world? I felt that she passed something to me, but I don't know what it is. Xian Wang's eyes were filled with confusion. Your cultivation. Complete Divine King Realm. Ling Zhao's entire body trembled, and he was instantly dumbfounded. What happened just now? It had actually allowed the Xian King's cultivation to directly rise from the peak of the Heavenly God Realm to the peak of the God King Realm. Wasn't it a little too inconceivable? Even Ling Zhao felt that it was unreal. Although the breakthrough in the Void Saint world wouldn't lead to a breakthrough in the Divine world, the realm was still there. As long as there was enough energy to support it, Xian Wang should be able to break through to the complete Divine King realm quickly. This was indeed a great opportunity. However, this good fortune came out of nowhere. Moreover, Ling Zhao could feel that the chaotic nomological laws in the Enlightenment Sea seemed to have decreased significantly, especially the Enlightenment fish. Their numbers had decreased significantly. That figure gave me a familiar feeling, but I don't know where she came from. Perhaps she's an expert from the ancient times or an ancestor of the Ji family. After all, There was a great emperor in the Ji family in the ancient times. Xian Wang said slowly. There was a great emperor in the Ji family? Even older than the 9 emperors of the human race? Perhaps she's really an ancestor of the Ji family. However, your opportunity is really shocking. Ling Xiao exclaimed in surprise. There was no great emperor from the Ji family among the 9 emperors of the human race. That could only be from an even older era. Now that the Ji family had declined, only the great Zhou divine nation was left. A mysterious mirror appeared in Xian Wang's palm. It was only the size of a palm, but it gave people a very strange feeling. It was actually a perfect saint treasure. This ancient mirror must have been left behind by that figure for the Xian king. Zhou Tian mirror. This was the name of the ancient mirror. As for its use, the Xian king would have to slowly figure it out. Let's go. Ling Xiao said slowly. In the Sea of Enlightenment, his soul had been cleansed by the laws of chaos, becoming purer and clearer. He had also devoured a lot of the laws of chaos, which made his comprehension of the heaven and earth more profound. Especially after the incident just now, the Dao rhyme in the Dao comprehension sea seemed to have decreased significantly. Ling Xiao and Xian Wang left the bottom of the Enlightenment Sea and came to the surface of the sea. The experts around the Sea of Comprehension all stared at Ling Xiao and Xian Wang in utter shock. After all, ordinary people would not dare to enter the Sea of Comprehension at all. Those who could enter and return unscathed had to be extraordinarily talented. After Ling Xiao and Xian Wang appeared, they realized that Tian Gang and Yi Liangchen were nowhere to be found. Sir, something happened to the tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers. Your 2 senior brothers went to save them. A very delicate and pretty young man kindly reminded Ling Xiao. Something happened? What happened? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. It's like this. It seems that the 4 of them met the disciples of the immortal sacred land. Not only were all the enlightenment fish taken away, but the 4 of them were also taught a lesson. So your 2 senior brothers rushed over. The handsome young man explained, then pointed in a direction in the distance. Boom! A terrifying divine light exploded, and figures appeared in the distance. It was as if an intense battle had begun. Ling Xiao and Xian Wang's expressions changed as they quickly flew in that direction. Bang! A black fist imprint exploded, containing an unparalleled divine power, directly sending Astral Vault flying. Furthermore, it left a huge bloody hole in Astral Vault's chest. Ares College's indestructible battle body is only SOSO. A cold and arrogant voice sounded. A young man in a black robe appeared. His face was arrogant, and his eyes were cold. Mysterious runes surrounded his body. Cough cough. The disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect are still so shameless. If you fight with me at the same cultivation level, you will definitely die. Tian Gang coughed out a mouthful of blood as he stared coldly at the black-robed young man opposite him. Senior brother, are you alright? Yi Liangchen's eyes revealed a trace of worry as he quickly helped Tian Gang up. Sir Tian Gang, why don't we leave first? These people are not to be trifled with. Let's leave the enlightenment fish with them first. When Sir returns, we will settle the score with them. Li Hu also advised. The tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers looked very miserable. There were many wounds on their bodies, and their flesh was badly mangled. Their breathing was weak, and it was obvious that they had suffered serious injuries. Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei were standing opposite them. Other than the 2 of them, there was a young lady in green and a black-robed young man. The black-robed young man was the one who had just injured Tian Gang. Both he and the young lady in green were great divine kings, and they looked extremely arrogant. Trying to leave. It's not that easy. How dare the 4 of you find trouble with Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei? Who gave you the guts? The black-robed young man sneered. I gave them the guts. At this moment, a calm voice resounded in the void. Swoosh! Swoosh! Ling Xiao and Xian Wang arrived and instantly appeared in front of everyone. Although Ling Xiao's expression was calm, there was a trace of coldness in his eyes. Initially, he thought that the tiger, leopard, jackal, and wolf brothers would be able to capture Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei easily. However, he did not expect to encounter the disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect. The black-robed young man and the green-robed young lady were both disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect, and they were both inner disciples. Big brother, you are finally back. These two bastards from the Heavenly Curse sect injured senior brother, and they even said that they would kill all of us. Yu Yongqin said furiously. Senior brother, are you alright? Ling Xiao's eyes turned colder when he saw the bloody hole on Tian Gang's chest. I'm fine. Junior brother Long, the two of them have sage to be treasures, and they are extremely powerful. You have to be careful. Although Tian Gang was weak, he still warned Ling Xiao. Chapter 15:15. Young Master, we're useless. These two are the inner disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect, Wang Long and Hu Qing. They're very strong. Although Young Master has a flawless holy artifact, it's best not to get into a conflict with them. Li Hu smiled bitterly. Leave it to me. Ling Xiao nodded and said noncommittally. You're the champion of this generation's academy tournament, Long Outyan. You're just a complete heavenly god, yet you were able to defeat Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei. Kneel down and kowtow, then take your own life. The black-clothed young man, Wang Long, glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently. His voice carried an inviolable fluctuation. They're the inner disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect. This kid called Long Outyan has kicked an iron plate. That's right. Although the inner disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect might not have a flawless holy artifact, they should at least have a half-saint artifact. Moreover, their cultivation is far higher than this kid's. This kid is going to suffer. Who asked him to offend the Heavenly Curse sect? The Heavenly Curse sect is not to be trifled with. The surrounding people discussed and looked at Ling Xiao with different expressions. Some were sympathetic, while others were gloating. Kowtow and apologize, then take your own life. Who do you think you are? Hand over Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei, and the two of you kowtow and apologize to my eldest senior brother and my 4 subordinates. Then, I'll spare your lives. Otherwise, you'll all die today. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Shi Bufan and Yuan Fei had repeatedly caused trouble for Ling Xiao, which had completely aroused his killing intent. On top of that, these two arrogant disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect were used to being arrogant, yet they still acted as if they were certain that they could defeat Ling Xiao. You're courting death. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Wang Long's eyes turned cold as he slammed his palm toward Ling Xiao. Boom! A mysterious rune gushed out from his palm, turning into streaks of blazing sword light in the void. They intertwined in the air, as if they could cut through everything, and enveloped Ling Xiao entirely. Clang! Ling Xiao's eyes were blazing. The Xian Kun sword flashed and appeared in his hand. In an instant, it pierced through space and stabbed towards Wang Long. A flawless holy treasure could unleash a terrifying power in the Void Saint world. It was like a saint, and no one dared to face it head-on. Even Wang Long's expression changed when he saw the mysterious Kun sword. Boom! The sword light that filled the sky exploded, and Ling Xiao and Wang Long involuntarily retreated. It's actually a flawless holy treasure. You, with your mere celestial deity realm cultivation, what capabilities do you have to be able to wield a flawless holy treasure? What a waste. Just give it to me. Wang Long did not hide the greed in his eyes as he charged towards Ling Xiao. This time, a black spear appeared in his palm. It was also flowing with a faint holy light. It was a powerful half-saint treasure. It pierced toward Ling Xiao. Clang! When the black spear and the mysterious Kun sword collided, a dazzling light burst out. Runes spread from Wang Long's palm towards Ling Xiao, turning into black lines that wanted to envelop Ling Xiao's entire body. Boom! The mysterious Kuan sword emitted a dazzling light, cutting off the black lines in an instant. Boy, you're just a celestial deity in the complete realm. How dare you fight me? You're really courting death. Wang Long sneered. He raised his black spear and continued to attack Ling Xiao. He could see that although Ling Xiao's mysterious Kuan sword was very powerful, Ling Xiao's cultivation was too weak. He would have to pay a great price to activate a flawless holy treasure. Therefore, he was not anxious at all. He felt that Ling Xiao would be exhausted sooner or later. Although the black spear in his hand was only a half-saint treasure, it could barely contend with the mysterious Kuan sword. Buzz! However, at this moment, a streak of resplendent light soared into the sky. It immediately turned into a mysterious barrier, enveloping Ling Xiao and Wang Long. An ancient mirror floated in the void. It was filled with chaotic light and was extremely mysterious. It seemed to have shot out millions of precept lines that merged into Wang Long's body. Boom! Wang Long's aura weakened rapidly. Soon, he was like Ling Xiao, only able to display the cultivation of a complete realm celestial deity. What? Another flawless holy treasure? Wang Long's face turned green. He did not expect Xian Wang to have a flawless holy treasure. Since when were flawless holy treasures as common as cabbages? However, this ancient mirror could restrain Wang Long's cultivation, reducing him to the same level as Ling Xiao. He immediately felt that something was wrong. Now it's a fair fight. Xian Wang said indifferently. Bitch, I'm going to kill you. Wang Long's face was filled with anger as he glared at Xian Wang. He originally felt that victory was in his grasp, but he did not expect his cultivation to be restricted to the same level as Ling Xiao in the blink of an eye. However, Ling Xiao still had a flawless holy treasure. Was he really going to die at Ling Xiao's hands? Bitch, let go of senior brother Wang. Hu Qing's eyes revealed a trace of coldness and jealousy. After seeing the Xian King, she actually felt ashamed of her inferiority, which made her go crazy with jealousy. Pa! A black whip appeared in her hand. It was also a half-saint treasure. Like a black python, it pounced towards Xian Wang. Boom! Light flashed through Xian Wang's eyes. She slammed her slender fingers through the air and immediately, a resplendent palm print collided with the black whip, erupting with resplendent light. Then, Xian Wang left countless afterimages in the void. Her fingers were like swords as they slashed towards Hu Qing from all directions. The sky was filled with dazzling sword light. It was as if it was going to pierce through the void. Although Hu Qing had a half-saint treasure, she was unable to do anything to Xian Wang. Junior sister Xian Wang's cultivation has broken through to the perfected divine king realm. Tian Gang's eyes widened, revealing a look of disbelief. Before Ling Xiao and Xian Wang entered the Enlightenment Sea, they were both in the perfected divine king realm. However, after Xian Wang came out of the Enlightenment Sea, her cultivation had broken through to the next realm. Even Yu Yangchen was shocked. He rubbed his eyes hard. He could not believe what he was seeing. Boom! Within the barrier created by the universal mirror, Ling Xiao put away the mystic Kuan sword. Blood qi surged from his body, and his aura was like that of a dragon as he punched towards Wang Long. I'm invincible in the same realm. Even you can't do it. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with a blazing sharpness. He was like a peerless god of war, unstoppable. His terrifying fist imprint instantly drowned Wang Long.